everybody. You are listening to the History Boys. This is Christopher Whedon, and I, as always, am a history boy.
Nice.
That's all I got.
That's okay.
I always feel like I gotta go into a bit.
Not everything has to be a joke, Chris.
Everything.
Yeah, this is the intro.
Yeah, take it seriously. This is history.
That was perfect. And I'm Maddie Moon, and I am also a history boy.
Nice.
And
Hell
that
yeah.
also is it. And I do not have a bit either. So
Yeah. Jerry, do you have a bit?
No, I have no bit. But I am Jerry Nash, your humble history boy. As always, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah. You know Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm aware of Jerry Seinfeld, yeah.
He would have a bit.
He would have a bit. He's Canadian.
What's the deal?
What is the deal?
with history?
Podcast intros.
What is the deal?
They always gotta
with
say
Ibn
a
Saud?
joke.
Yeah. What's the deal with the Saudis? What's their problem?
Yeah.
Well,
Jerry Seinfeld,
Yeah,
everybody.
Jerry, I'm going to answer your question, Mr. Seinfeld.
Yeah. Now you be quiet for the rest of the recording.
Yeah. Sit on the couch quietly now.
Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen hasn't said a goddamn word for 3 episodes.
He's here.
He's been here.
He quietly, respectfully listens to the show.
Yeah, we asked, he said that, may I listen to it live? And we said, yes, as long as you do not talk.
And
he's nodding. Yeah.
To his credit, he pays for a plane ticket every single time we record. He flies all the way out here. I don't know who picks him up from the airport, but he shows up on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he showed up before Maddie today. He was ready to go.
Yeah. And was very polite. In fact, it took us forever to get started. He didn't seem to mind.
He doesn't seem to care. He's on his phone most of the time.
Yeah, he's not really paying attention. I don't think he knows we're talking about him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's... Sorry.
And that was the bit, everybody.
Yeah, there's the bit.
That was unplanned.
That's what happens when you don't plan a bit out.
Yeah.
A bit will happen. I can't help it. I'm a naturally silly person.
Well, gang, today for Ibn Saud Part 2, the name of the game that we're going to really talk about is a term called realpolitik. Mm-hmm. Do you know what realpolitik is?
Yeah.
What's realpolitik?
It's essentially the idea that you have to, take things... If you take your philosophy to the absolute extreme that you're supposed to, you're going to alienate too many people. So you have to take it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sort of, yeah.
You have to kind of tap her back, knowing that you can't exactly...
I mean, yes, but also
Explain
you do that basically to interact with other people that are diametrically opposed to you. Mm-hmm. But you have to interact with those people for mutual benefit.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with them or not.
So it's like Thanksgiving.
It's
when
like
I go to Thanksgiving.
When you go to Thanksgiving and you don't get in a big fight, that's realpolitik. You're being pragmatic about your diplomacy.
Right.
My parents are pretty left, so...
Nice.
Yeah, it's not hard for you.
Yeah, I'll be like, so that Donald Trump's a piece of shit. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, you're like Sweden and, I don't know, modern day Germany interacting.
Yeah.
Not much friction.
No.
Right.
But this is straight up United States and Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. They couldn't be more different. One is a theological monarchy. The other is supposed to be secular republic. Yeah. Right? But they work together for mutual benefit. Mm-hmm. Right? That's realpolitik. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, last we left you, we saw basically the beginning, and then we're going to talk about the end of the Arab uprising. That is a story for a different day, folks. Mm-hmm. I just can't go through it. And one day we will talk about T.E. Lawrence and Lawrence of Arabia and that kind of a thing. Yeah. But it won't be today, so I'm going to leave that for a different day. But basically, when the British and the French entered Jerusalem, they called themselves Crusaders. And that really alienated and pissed off all of the Arabs that rose up during World War I against the Ottomans, right? And, of course, the superpowers like Britain and France did not keep any of their promises about this, pan-Islamic Arabia sort of a thing. One king for all of Arabia. So they were pissed off. A lot of them were. And the fact that Ibn Saud was neutral during that time, he didn't really get even considered when it came down to the Treaty of Versailles. Mm-hmm. So it kind of left him in the dark. As you know the story, things are going to click with you. The Hashemites were left in the Hijaz Remember the Hijaz bordering the Red Sea there, with Jeddah and Mecca and Medina. The Hashemite Hussein was left as king of the Hijaz, something that Ibn Saud did not like. Other kings were given the crowns of Iraq and Transjordan after the war, and Ibn Saud was like, "You've surrounded me by my enemies." You know what I mean? He was enemies with the Hashemites. You know what I mean? And so he would have to go out and destroy the last of them, you know? And he'd just done this. I mean, by 1922, the last of the Rashids had surrendered and married into his family, and they were placated, right?
The Hashids, is that what?
The Rashids.
Rashids.
Remember those
The
guys?
Rashids. I couldn't remember exactly.
They're like their main...
Rashids.
Yeah, they're their main rival in the region.
And that's why he was quoted as saying, "I'm here to choose bubblegum and destroy the Rashids." And all out a bubblegum.
Yes, right. And after the war, too, you know, talk about the Jewish homeland began in like the late 1800s, right? But it kind of ramped up after World War I. And Lloyd George of the British, he even approached the Soviets, the newly found Soviets, about like, "Hey guys, you guys are Jewish, right? Do you guys want like a Jewish homeland?" And they like looked at each other and they were like, "We are international. We are atheist. No." You know? Yeah. Their concept of homeland and countries was completely different. You know what I mean? It really shows Lloyd George's ignorance. Yeah. You know? And Hitler said the same thing. Those Soviets are all Jews. You know? So it's weird. You know?
They don't know.
Yeah. They're ignorant of those things. Something else that the early Soviets did is release all of their Middle Eastern double talk to all the allies and everyone involved. So, like, the Middle East saw, like, the fact that they're talking behind their backs and stuff like that, and it was really embarrassing for everyone involved. And, there was another reason to hate those goddamn communists. Releasing embarrassing diplomatic talk. Something that the British did give Ibn Saud after the war was an annuity of £5,000 a month and army surplus.
Oh.
So he got a bunch of guns and a bunch of money, and he's like, "All right, I'm not gonna fuck with a good thing." And he started stockpiling weapons and supplies, all British provided, to crush anything that popped up, including the Hijaz,
It's a bit of
which he wanted.
whack-a-mole situation.
It's a bit of a whack-a-mole situation, but once you're done whacking all the moles, you got the big mole, which is Hussein in the Hijaz.
Yeah.
He wants the Hijaz. Everybody in the Hijaz is like, well, the Hashemites are kind of fucking things up. He's getting really paranoid. He's spending frivolously, and they don't like him. There's a lot of crime in Mecca. It's not safe for the annual Hajj, you know, to go to Mecca. It's not safe, so people want him out. And Ibn Saud sees an opportunity and invades the Hijaz. Right?
Yeah.
And when he does this, he unleashes the Ikhwan upon them. And as we know from last time, the Ikhwan are this, you know, they're totally fanatically Wahhab, right?
Yeah.
So anything that's not Wahhabi is considered heretical, right? So
It's got to go.
Yeah, so they, you know, get rid of all of these. Anything that shows a picture of a human, they burn.
Yeah.
Right? They massacre whole villages that they consider recalcitrant to the Quran. They destroy, like, the Prophet Muhammad's his descendants. They destroy the graves of them because they came to see them as, like, saints. And they don't like saints.
Yeah.
Because you need to be worshiping one person or one entity, and that is Allah.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then you model your life after the Prophet.
What is this?
That's
What is
it.
this? Catholicism?
Right? Exactly. They hate that. They hate it. Yeah. That's why, everything is words, you know, written out, you know. And in exchange for all this money and guns and all these things, training his men to fight effectively against these scattered Bedouin people, is he agreed to recognize British territories in the area along the Persian Gulf. So Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, sections of Yemen, we'll get to that later, parts of Yemen that they consider British protectorate. Like, they're like, we want a promise from you that as long as the British are sort of in charge, you're never going to go out into those areas.
Right.
Right. And he did bump into those areas a few times, including Kuwait. And they like everyone was like, hey, back off. This is
Right.
our area. And the British had to get in, and this happened literally everywhere around them. The Equans started going into Iraq, started going into Jordan. And they were like, we're only doing this because we are true Wahhabis and we are getting rid of anything that is not of Islam. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, you can't go across borders. And they're like, borders? What the fuck are you talking about? For centuries,
Borders?
we've gone over,
The fuck are borders?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to tell people that have lived a certain way for literally thousands of years that now there's invisible borders you can't go by.
Right.
Go by.
Yeah. They could at least built a bookstore called Borders. And then, like, don't go past the bookstore.
Yeah.
You can go in and get some coffee, you can hang out, read some books. They don't give a shit.
Sit down, read some Tom
Yeah.
Clancy or something.
Yeah. Some Dean Koontz.
Yeah. And the Equan, of course, were, the biggest fighting force, right? And the biggest force for raiding the Gazoo, remember?
And I laughed.
Yeah, because the name sounds funny.
Well, it is on our Discord, somebody posted, he's like, you were right. This guy's name is the Great Gazoo. You remember that?
Yes.
And he was like, this is the guy you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Yeah. Well, the Equan didn't like the fact that Ibn Saud was so close to the British. The British was a nation of Christians.
Yeah, some bullshit.
And we can't have that.
No.
Anything that is not strict Wahhabism is against it, and therefore heretical and needs to be destroyed.
Yeah.
So they didn't like that. And, Ibn Saud was quoted as saying, quote, "The English are my friends, but I will walk with them only so far as my religion and honor will allow." End quote. So he's kind of playing a middle ground between the Equan and the British government, anyone from the outside.
Yeah, he's not going nuts with his policy.
Yeah.
That's
And
how I
to.
was trying to describe what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it is like a high wire act of like diplomacy and geopolitics.
You ever play one of those video games where like they have the thing where you're walking across something tight and you have to like move the
you gotta go
controller
this way, that
and it's
way,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's what he's doing.
That's what
how
he's
they would
doing.
do it in the video game.
The Ibn Saud video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, search for the golden treasure.
Yeah. It would be an open world situation.
Yeah.
Pretty
You're
much.
actually looking for
Of
oil.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like
Yeah, no borders.
Assassin's Creed.
I played that game.
Hell yeah.
When the Equan did attack the Hijaz, they massacred whole cities, destroyed a bunch of things that Muslims across the Middle East and into the world did consider very sacred.
Pushed over trash cans, kicked mailboxes off their posts, that kind of thing.
Pretty much. It was worse than that. But they did leave Muhammad's grave alone. The Dome of Rock, things like this. What they considered to be like, okay, we won't touch that. But otherwise, they got rid of everything else, right?
Yeah.
And when they made it to Mecca, like the Hashemites, like, Hussein abdicated, gave it to his son ran to Jeddah, and like they were gonna stick out there for a while, hold out against the Saudis. So when Ibn Saud came into Mecca, he came in relatively bloodlessly. They beat people, and you'll see that it's not totally bloodless, but he basically took it without a fight. And he came in like as a pilgrim, donned the pilgrim garb, made the Hajj into Mecca.
Yeah.
The
Right?
buckle on his hat and his shoes.
His head was uncovered. I like it like a pilgrim.
It gave him the pilgrim effect stats. You know?
When Ibn Saud did learn about like these massacres and stuff, it is said that he wept for the people. He didn't want the Equan to go nuts like this.
You went a bit far.
Yeah.
It's just it was a bit much.
Yeah. I mean, here's his key to power sort of going a little too crazy. You know what I mean? When he did turn to Jeddah, like the last Hashemite that's there in his way, basically, they basically surrounded the city and stayed there for a year, basically besieging the city. But they didn't have like Roman artillery,
Yeah.
and, siege weapons. It wasn't like a siege like we've talked about before.
Yeah.
It was sort of just surrounding it and choking the city until they gave up.
Yeah.
Basically. It took a whole year.
It's kind of an occupation.
It's
in a
more
way.
of and just surrounding a city, kind of a deal. A blockade, a land blockade.
Like in Star Wars Episode 1.
Sort of, yeah, sort of. So he spent all, basically, of 1925 besieging the city of Jeddah. Mm-hmm. And finally took it through mediation with the British. Ali, the son of Hussein, he surrendered. He went to live with his brothers in Transjordan and Iraq for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he had that Trans Am that was on bricks.
Just because trans.
He went to go live with his. Yeah, that is. Right. Yeah.
That's where you got
me.
Yeah,
the word trans.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking trans people.
No.
I was thinking of a Trans Am.
Yeah, right.
But he also went to live with his brother, so I feel like that's the thing.
Brothers in Trans Am.
Yeah. Just working out in the
brother
garage.
What is this, an 80s movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just working out in the garage, listening to Slow
Ride.
Fog Hat. Fog Hat.
Yeah.
I was going to say Slow Hat.
Slow Hat. Or just Slow Ride on repeat.
Yeah.
It's
Working
the only
out.
song they like.
He's gonna fix up that Trans Am any day.
Well, now that Saudi Arabia, the basically newly minted Saudi Arabia, was in control of Islam's most holiest sites, now the Wahhabis are basically in control of Islam's most holiest sites. So, like the material they cover the cube in Mecca for, right? There's a name for all of this stuff. I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about.
It's not called the Cube?
No, it's not called the Cube. But
you ever see that movie, The Cube?
Yeah, I've seen all three of them.
Yes. Wait. Yeah, where they have to escape.
Yeah. They're in that cube.
There's
and then
Cube.
Holy shit.
There's Hypercube.
I just watched
it. And then
it.
there's Cubed.
Wait, there's more than one?
Yeah.
And they're in the cube the whole time?
Well, there's Hypercube, which is like a bigger cube. It's like a quantum level cube.
Yeah, it's like,
And then there's Cubed, which is like cubed squared.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I call it Cubed.
It should be called Cubed.
But it's more of a indie film that's like Cubed. And I defend it because it's clear that like a green director made it.
Greenhorn?
And I'm kind of proud of him. You know?
Good for him. I like the first Cube.
First Cube is also a great idea for an indie film director. Like, you're using, like, 3 sets over and over
Right.
again
Yeah,
that look exactly the same. It's great. It's a genius idea.
Like, this room's totally different because the lighting's a little different.
Yeah. All you do is blast different lights through it. It's genius.
It's a solid move.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, the strict Wahhabis are now there. The cube in the middle of Mecca, they hang this fabric over it, and it has lines from the Quran stitched in gold stitch on it. And they get it made over in Egypt to change it out, because you need a new one each time. It gets dirty, it gets raggedy.
It's getting old.
Yeah,
you gotta switch. It's like reupholstering your couch.
It is, or getting
people do all the time.
Just get a new one.
I have to get my couch reupholstered.
Yeah.
Well, okay. How about this?
If your couch was a holy object, you might get it reupholstered.
If there was a meteorite that people have always worshipped in this area since the dawn of man inside your couch, you would get it reupholstered. Every year.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Anyway.
And there is.
Yeah.
So the purpose is so that it keeps the building like facade clean, and they can just replace the fabric.
Yeah, and it says lines from the Quran on it. It covers this cube. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, they could probably get pretty upset when the cats start scratching on it. Yeah. So you got a post right there. You got a whole cat tree to sleep on.
Well, they get it made in Egypt.
And they love cats.
Yeah. And the problem is that when they're bringing it over to Mecca, it's like sort of like a parade the whole way down. Well, they were playing music as they were bringing it down, celebrating a little too much. And they don't like that because it seems like you're worshiping the material, the fabric that goes over the cube, when we should be worshiping Allah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So no more music, no more celebrating too much when it comes to this.
No.
When it comes to this, and so much so that they actually stopped getting it made in Egypt, which is like something they've done for like 1,000 years. I don't know, long time.
Too much.
And they moved it to Saudi Arabia to keep them from worshiping worshipping the material itself.
You overdid it on the parades.
Yeah, they overdid it.
Really,
No music. Can't have that.
Egypt was just like celebrating the fact that they just got paid a shitload of money to sew together 4 pieces of fabric.
It had gold stitching.
Yeah, but
That one guy did.
Did they pay for the gold stitching?
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
The
slave.
Egyptians? I mean,
No, the Saudis.
they're like, just use your gold stitching. I'm not paying for that.
It's really the same
It's
piece
for
of
Allah.
fabric every time
Yeah.
that they resell back to them. Put it through a washer. Giant washing machine.
Oh, that's also a cube. It's like, don't bow down to the cube
Don't.
washing machine.
Yeah.
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
It's right next to the pyramids.
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
Yeah.
It's the holy washing
You're like, I'm
machine.
trying to look at these pyramids, and this thing's the dryer's going.
Yeah,
it's
the
loud as
spin
shit.
cycle is so loud on this thing.
He's like, yeah, put a bunch of zippers in there too. So
Yeah.
they're like clank, 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 clank.
Clank, clank, clank. Oh my god. Well, before even Saud took control of Mecca, it was rife with crime. There were a lot of gangs, things like this that would rob people when they made their annual Hajj. And Ibn Saud basically put a stop to that immediately by dealing with it harshly. And like, for one example, a guy who was a thief, like, all of a sudden, this guy was screaming and running through, like, the very crowded thoroughfares of Mecca. And holding his bloody stump of a, arm, like,
Oh, somebody.
as he was doing it. They cut off his hand.
And he's like, oh, that stung.
And they tied his hand around a string and hung it around his neck. So as he, like, ran, my hand's cut off! Like, it's dangling around
They're
his
like,
neck.
it's right there, man.
Yeah, it's right there, yeah. But, like, after that, like, people got... Or after, they really cracked down, people got so afraid to do anything bad in or near Mecca or Medina that, like, you could straight up leave shit in a crowded city and come back and find it, and it's all still there untouched. You know what I mean? Like, no more.
Yeah.
Because it was dealt with so harshly. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that's one way to do it.
Except AirPods. They always stole those.
Yeah. That reminds me of the
Who
time.
gives a shit, right?
Yeah. They're like $50 these
I
days.
had this Velociraptor model from like Jurassic Park 1 or whatever from when I was a kid. And then when Tyler found it, but it didn't have the hands because they were so weak I couldn't glue them on right.
Right.
But Tyler saw it and he's like, I want to paint that. So he was gonna paint bloody stumps and like have it be like, my hands, they took my hands, and it's a Velociraptor. So he painted it or I think he put a pre-coat on it. Put it in his parking garage at his apartment complex.
Yeah.
And then somebody took it. And he was upset. Yeah. Somebody was probably like, what's this garbage doing here? And just chucked it in the trash.
Threw it in the trash.
It didn't have hands.
Yeah, they didn't take it. Nobody wanted it. They just threw it in the trash.
He just thought it was funny that I tried to glue the hands on, but it's just such a weak spot. I couldn't keep them stuck. And
Weak wrists were not just a human problem, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
honestly, if a
He had
Velociraptor comes
limp
at
wrists.
you, just grab his wrist and just
Break
flip
it.
his hand up. It'll snap. You can take a Velociraptor.
Snap like a twig.
Just snap his wrist.
Just snap his wrist.
That's all you gotta. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's what that Australian guy should have done in the first Jurassic Park. Remember?
I thought you were talking about the
Bold
crocodile
dude.
hunter. It's like just snap its.
Yeah, when you said the Australian guy,
No.
Steve Irwin is
I did-
what I
yeah.
thought of.
Yeah, me too.
That's the only Australian guy I know.
Steve Irwin should have snapped snapped
Steve
that
Irwin
sting.
famously fought that Velociraptor.
I was gonna say that stingray's wrist.
It doesn't have wrists.
The virtual wrist.
He's like, I've fought 1,000 Velociraptors. I can take one stingray.
But what
He was wrong.
He's like, oh no, it doesn't have wrists.
I don't know what to do.
My only
fucked up.
weakness, no wrists.
So fucked up.
I love Steve Irwin.
Yeah,
the first
me too.
Love
rule
him.
is always learn their weakness.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
didn't do that.
No, he didn't go for the eyes
He was
either.
overconfident.
There was a misstep on his part.
If you would beat the shit out of that many Velociraptors, you'd be a little confident too. I love you, Steve Irwin.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Now, the holy sites of Islam were now safe, right? But the other side of that coin was that Now a bunch of historic parts of the cities were demolished because they were fearing that these sites, again, might become sites of association and worship besides that of Allah.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why they got rid of a bunch of historical sites, because people were going there in deference, and they were like, this deference seems a little deep. We can't have that.
No.
You know, only deep reverence for Allah, and that's it. Right?
Yeah. Don't give a shit about anything else.
Right, exactly. Now, on May 20th, 1927, the British government signed the Treaty of Jeddah, which abolished some other agreements and recognized the independence of Hijaz and Najd, which were two separate kingdoms, but Ibn Saud was its sole ruler, so he combined these crowns basically to make the kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
So he was running things.
Yeah, yeah.
Cream corn.
Yeah. He kind of administered them in separate ways for a short amount of time, but that's honestly just due to logistics of being in one place versus another. There's no fast way at this point to go between the two. I mean, there is, they just don't have it yet. Now, in 1920, the Ikhwan again were unleashed on the southern Asir region, which borders Yemen and the Red Sea there. And this would be a sticking point that still exists with us to this day. They were really only able to ever occupy the Asir region and never really go any further. The fighting went off and on for pretty much a full decade before they signed a 20-year ceasefire, basically. But it only amounted to a ceasefire. Like, the war was never ending. You know what I mean? People say that, the Korean War is the longest lasting war that there has ever been. They're wrong. The Saudi-Yemeni War is much longer. Because it starts in probably 1920, and it's still going on to this day. Actively going on. There's no, like, DMZ or anything. They're shooting at each other actively. Anyway, more on that later. And actually, the Imam of Yemen actually said about Ibn Saud's efforts to take Yemen as, quote, "Who is this Bedouin coming to challenge my family's 900-year rule?" End quote. Which I thought was really interesting. Like, 'cause that's kind of what Ibn Saud's doing. Like, rising straight out of the desert and challenging these, like, ancient regimes. You know what I mean?
It's way Amadeus. Ozymandias.
I was like, Mozart?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mozart.
He was challenging,
Conquered countries.
you know, old ideas with his music, you know, rock and roll lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, the Saudi-Yemeni War, which sort of culminated in 1934, despite treaties and mediation from the British, it just sort of ground to the halt because, like, the Italians were funding the Yemenis, right? And the British were funding the Saudis. So it was almost a proxy war in that sense, right? And that would only get worse as time moves forward. This is 1934. That would only get worse as time moves forward, right?
Yeah.
And even till this day, it's on a scale that they couldn't even fucking imagine.
Yeah.
You know? This was also the first modern war that the Saudis used British Rolls-Royce armored cars and French Renault FT-17 tanks between Arab states. It's the first time they would have, like, mechanized warfare.
Oh, wow.
During the 30s, which is, you know, in this short amount of time, they've gone from straight up medieval desert warfare to mechanized warfare.
Yeah.
Only in a very short period of time, one lifetime. Which is kind of a spooky thing to think about.
That had to be something to see.
Yeah, and it's why they are the way they are. You know, why Saudi Arabia is the way Saudi Arabia is. On May 12th, 1934, there were peace negotiations. Ibn Saud claimed that he was not interested in taking over Yemen, although it was sort of clear that that's what he wanted.
He was like,
he's just sort of...
But I will if I have to.
Right. He wanted Imam Yahya, who was the Yemeni Imam, to abdicate. And he wouldn't abdicate, but they did do the 20-year truce, right? Which after these tense negotiations, there was like... they got Asir, Saudi Arabia got Asir, and then there was also the truce. This is called the Treaty of Taif. Very important treaty, as we'll see later, because it never had a resolution. It was just, we're going to stop shooting at each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to occupy this zone. And that's it. That's there's unresolved shit. That's gonna come up
It's
later.
not. Yeah, it's not changing anything. It's just they're like, man, I'd sure like to shoot you.
Yeah. Now, this area, the Asir, was pretty much unknown to the West until a fellow by the name of Harry St. John Bridger Philby.
That's too long.
It's quite the name, isn't it?
Yeah. Take one of those names out.
Yeah. Bridger needs to be taken out, I think, at least. Well, Philby, I'm going to call him Philby.
Philbs.
Or St. John Philby. He was an Arabist. He was a lot like Captain Shakespeare. Not quite as adventurous. Something crazy about him is that he represented the British government. He disagreed with British foreign policy, so much so that during World War II he'd be in jail for sedition.
Really?
Because he would talk about how he had all these defeatist ideas with Britain, that if it came down to a war between Germany and Britain, that Britain would lose.
Right.
Which is kind of nuts because that's kind of what was happening, like at Dunkirk and stuff, as he was put into prison. He was like, you see, I told you, I told all of you. And then they put him in prison and shit turned around for the Allies after that. But
they just didn't need his negative attitude.
no, they
They just like got rid of him. It's the power of positive thinking, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But when he got out of prison, I'm jumping the gun here, I'm getting ahead of myself. But when he got out of prison, he converted to Islam and moved to Saudi Arabia, married a Saudi woman, I should say an Arabian woman. He became one of Ibn Saud's most trusted advisors for the rest of his life. Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, some of the things that Saudi Arabia is about to do make sense. That they have somebody like Philby in their corner, sort of calling the shots.
Right.
You know what I mean? Being like, if you want to be powerful, you got to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But even with all of this, Ikhwan were not placated, right? They still felt like they should go after anyone that was not Wahhabi. That's something that they had been taught.
This group's been given too much power.
Yeah, I mean, they're key to his power, to Ibn Saud's power, And so they started attacking what they considered infidels across the border, like I said. It caused a diplomatic dispute because the British had to basically use their planes to repel them. And they're like, well, we can't fire on another British protectorate. Like, this doesn't make any sense, So, like, Ibn Saud, he had to get together with the Ulema and issue the fatwa saying you can't go against what the king or ruler says, right? As a good Muslim, you can't do it. The Quran says this, is what they're basically trying to say.
But then they also view it as if, like, okay, now you're asking for, deference.
Right.
Over a lot.
Oh, yeah. And that's where, like, the split came from. It's like, well, you can't just say that. And they're like, well, yeah, we can. We're the Ulema. So there was this impasse, right? And it led to a rebellion, right? And basically, there's these three leaders. There's Faisal al-Duwaj.
Duwap?
Duwaj. Faisal al-Duwaj. That was one of them. Sultan bin Bajad and Diyadan bin Hithlain. Basically, he offered like a meeting. Like, come meet with me. Tell me why I'm fucking up.
Right.
And they didn't show up to the meeting.
Rude.
So now they're at war.
Yeah.
And the way he beat them was with British arms and British know-how. Right? They trained his troops, they gave him guns, they did all this stuff, and he put them down fairly easily.
These are the guys that beat the Germans.
Yeah.
With some help from others.
Yeah. He had to reluctantly meet with the Hashemites around him to be like, here's the borders, okay? He had to actually draw some borders. It was a whole thing because there were watering holes, which were very important in the middle of the goddamn desert, that are important. And they split a certain amount of land and da-da-da-da-da. They also split certain areas where they thought oil would be, right? This is a big sticking point that would come up later, of course. Now, this rebellion culminated in the Battle of Sibilla, and it would be the last major battles in Arabia that would utilize camel riders. The last time that would ever happen. And, people say it's hard to tell what happened during that battle, whether or not it was conclusive or not. But it did scatter the rebels. Duwash was wounded. He fled Arabia. He surrendered to the British in Kuwait. Even Saud pardoned him, saying, like, hey, it's cool as long as you know that you fucked up. And, like, he was like, I didn't fuck up, you fucked up, but I still surrendered. You know what I mean? And then he died later. You know? And didn't really matter after that, after he died. Sultan bin Bajad, leader of the Otiaba tribe, Bedouin tribe, he was probably the most recalcitrant of the rebels. He died in like an oubliette prison that Ibn Saud tossed him in, left him there for the rest of his life, never got out, kind of a deal. The last guy, Hithlain, Deodan bin Hithlain, I might not be pronouncing any of these names correctly, by the way. He was the leader of the Ajman, and the Ajman were like the biggest tribe. Right. And he was either killed by a son of Jalui, remember Jalui? Or he was found dried up in the desert. Like, didn't have any water, dried up out there. Or he was killed by Jalui. Whatever. Or one of Jalui's sons. Doesn't matter. Basically, the Ikhwan are placated for now. Ikhwanism would still be a problem for the world, really. Ikhwanism is still with us today. And what do I mean when I say Ikhwanism? What do you think I mean when I say Ikhwanism?
Is it like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, think about like rising up because you think somebody's like an infidel against your religion.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's happening a lot.
Yeah, I mean, ISIS is sort of Ikhwanism.
I didn't want to say the names because I didn't want you to be like... But like, no,
Al-Qaeda,
not that. Okay, so Al-Qaeda...
ISIS,
Taliban,
that is
kind of thing?
Ikhwanism.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say that and sound like an idiot.
You'd be right. The rest of them, he did the same thing he always did. He married some, he married them among his family, and that's what he would always do as diplomacy.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very Crusader Kings.
Very Crusader Kings.
Which is free on PS Plus Essential.
Yes, it is.
What's the one about that?
It's the base game.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like that game benefits a lot from mods.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, that's a PC game. I'm sorry.
A PC game, yeah. But you can get that on your PC.
I have it on my PC.
Yeah. Well, you can get like the PS Plus or Game Pass or whatever on your PC and play games on your PC. Anyway, now, some of the last Ikhwan, they demanded to meet with Ibn Saud and petition their, worries, right? And they were like, we need to get rid of anything that's from the West. Radios, we don't like.
Ugh.
Anything like this, we don't like. This is the work of the devil, okay?
Yeah.
And Ibn Saud is like, oh, radio is work of the devil, then certainly the devil wouldn't permit word of God, transported over it, right? And they're like, no, absolutely not. And he goes, weird, check this out. And what it was somebody reading the first line from the Quran, something that people say every day in their prayers towards Mecca, right? And that is this, quote, in the name of God, Allah, the compassionate and merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of worlds. And as this came over the radio, it was like, so it can't be the work of the devil, right? They're like, yeah, I guess so. If he's, if it's allowing the word of God to permit to be across this thing, it couldn't possibly be the work of the devil, right?
The devil would have been, it would have made his skin smoke hearing it, You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Stings.
I mean, have you ever listened to Soft 106.9? It's definitely not the work of the devil.
Is that smooth jazz?
No, it's just like love songs, like 70s love songs and stuff.
I don't really listen to it. I'm sure people who are like, that's my jam.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what's on there?
Delilah's.
Fuck that song.
Yeah.
No, Delilah. She's a radio.
Oh, isn't there a song called?
Hey There, Delilah.
Yeah.
They play that on there.
They probably would.
That's work of the devil.
I'm talking about the radio. Yeah, they would. That song specifically, but not Delilah the radio.
The devil
we
wrote
love her.
that song.
She's great.
Yeah.
He has a producer credit on that song.
But a good point he also gave them is like, oh, well, okay, hand over those guns. That's inventions of the West.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well,
Well,
good
no.
point. Yeah.
I mean, if the devil made anything,
Yeah, it'd be guns.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
tools of war.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the work of the devil. Let's be real.
Yeah, not iPods.
That's Ares, you know,
Well, and what
god of war.
Even so, he would be like, the will of Allah is why I conquered you. It was Allah's will, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have won, right?
Yeah, that's completely logical.
Yeah, that's how he saw it. Now, in the meantime, he was kind of having a hell of a time. The Spanish flu was in full effect.
Oh, yes.
In this time and place. His favorite wife died. His first son, Turkey, died.
His name was Turkey.
His name was Turkey.
A jive turkey.
Yeah, they both died of Spanish
His
flu.
least favorite wife died, which so bonus there. Silver lining, that's all I'm saying.
He also had a skin condition on his face. Maybe the result of poisoning. We don't really know. But when he was finally treated for it, it had spread to his eye. He became blind in that eye, basically.
Oh, wow.
So when you see like pictures of him, sometimes he's like sort of closing one eye.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's for the sun, but also he's blind in one eye.
Yeah. It's like Columbo.
Yeah. Peter Falk.
Yeah, Peter Falk. He had a glass eye.
He had a glass eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did Sammy Davis Jr.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
So did Mad Eye Moody.
Yeah.
This is a different type of glass eye. Yeah, like a magic eye.
He had a magic eye, but
Yeah.
of course he did. He was a wizard.
Yeah.
He was a wizard.
Peter Falk, if he was a wizard, would have a magic eye too.
Yeah.
And he'd be like
Peter
constant vigilance.
Peter Falk playing even Saud.
Yeah, with a magic eye.
Yeah.
Like Mad Eye Moody. It's dressed like Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Now, because of the king's one eye, there was a few old Bedouins that had kind of fought with him over the years, and they started calling him Old Cyclops.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
of the eye.
wow. Oh, the old elementary
Cyclops.
school jokes over here.
Mad Eye Moody wouldn't have
Four
put up
eyes.
with
Yeah. Well, I mean, his name is like built into his, it's like built into him.
that. Mad Eye Moody?
Yeah, because he's got a crazy eye.
Well, I don't think his birth name was Mad Eye Moody.
No, but people definitely call him that to his face.
Yeah,
They don't-
he embraces it.
Yeah.
And he's played by Brendan Gleeson. who
Yes.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, old crazy eyes. Like, Even Saud has had some favorite sons. Probably one of his favorite sons was Prince Mansour, but he died. He also died at a young age. And his next two sons that were kind of in rivalry for each other to like take the throne when Daddy died. That was Saud. So Saud al Saud.
I like that one of his favorite sons.
Yeah.
I just like that because it's like when I was talking to the dude at the convenience store when we were buying this beer that we're drinking right now.
Yeah.
I told him that Jurassic Park was one of my favorite movies. He's like, I don't know what's one of his favorites, but he's like, it's definitely like in the running, which is how I feel. And this is this guy talks about his sons.
Yeah.
And
They're
wives,
in the running.
and wives. He's like, oh yeah, that son, he's easily in my top 10.
Yeah. It's
I don't care for this son.
it is kind of that way.
Yeah.
Like Saud was never his favorite, but definitely the crown prince.
Yeah.
And like Faisal, he knew that Faisal was like probably the most experienced and like could do it. So like when they needed to like send representatives on like diplomatic meetings to like Britain and whatnot, he'd send his son Faisal. And like he sent him at a very young age too. And like they kind of got mistreated a little bit in Britain where like they talked down to him, treated them like children.
Because they're racist?
Because they're racist.
Yeah.
And like even one of like Faisal's handlers was like, if that dude ever comes to Najd, I'll slit his fucking throat. And they're like, whoa.
Damn.
But I guess Faisal's favorite thing to do while he was in Britain was to ride the escalators. He would ride them up and down for hours on end.
Did he ever try going the other way, like walking up?
I think he did.
Yeah, because I got...
That's literally in The Last of Us, the last episode.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen it, but I do know that
Why did I do that?
I got in trouble when I was a kid for trying to go up the down escalator at the
You want to see if
mall.
you can beat it.
Yeah, I
Well,
could
yeah,
have
it's annoying when
easily.
you're trying to go.
Nobody was there,
Oh.
but still.
Your
it's
mom
probably-
yelled at you.
No, the security guy did.
Oh, fuck him.
Mom.
He should be yelling at kids.
Well, I mean, kids shouldn't really be going up. I mean, if you're trying to go down the
It's
escalator...
the least of infractions. There was no one there. It's the least of transactions or things that a child could do.
You know
The
what?
guy should have just kept his mouth shut
You know
and
what?
gone on with his day.
I took his side up until this moment.
You can get fucked up by escalators,
You really
though.
can.
Like they will, and kids are dumb
No
as
one's
hell.
around. The kid, he's just running up the other side.
Your
Every kid's gonna
If you get
do
your
that.
shoelace stuck in there, it will pull you under.
Yeah.
Well-
and it will be a horrible, horrible
Were
death.
your shoelaces untied? Maybe that's why.
That could have. I would say 30% chance, yes.
Well, if that's the case, then I get it. But if you're just running up the other way,
Knowing me
shut up,
as a
dude.
child, I didn't have my shit together at all.
You didn't tie your shoes. Not a
Two-thirds
moment.
2/3 of the time, yes. 1/3 of the time, no. That's why
There's
my
a-
current shoes don't have laces. Look at them over there.
Yeah, I see. They're old man shoes.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
Yeah, they make your. You have big feet, but they make them look big.
Huge.
There's only a small portion in the middle of your life where you actually have shoes that you tie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like, why do we even bother? We should
Even
just
if,
not have...
even if they have ties, you tie them to where you can slip them on and off. Let's be real.
Yes, it's so annoying.
Yeah, I was like, why don't I just get shoes that don't have them in the first place?
It's only
Yeah.
comfortable to bend over and touch your toes for an extended period of time for like 10 years.
Yeah.
From when you're like 16 to like 26, probably. And
I know
then
that-
it's just
Then it gets
painful.
rough after that.
Other than that,
Yeah.
don't have laces for outside of that 10-year period.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, Velcro.
Yeah.
Or zipper. Like there's so
zippers.
many new inventions
Yeah.
these days.
Invented zippers recently.
Well,
On shoes.
well, I'm jumping around a little bit, but on September 23rd, 1932, is when Ibn Saud formally united the realm into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, himself as king, right? He would have to keep his brothers in check too. They also wanted power. His brothers, his sons, they all wanted power as well. He would even like making decisions between them was also a high wire act. You know, it would take a really good leader. They were lucky to have him, to be perfectly honest with you. They could have done a lot worse, but they needed a really good leader to lead the newly minted Saudi Arabia. He happened to be the best man for the job.
That's good. That doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, they couldn't have him for longer. You know, like
yeah.
the rest of his sons were kind of dicks. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
The
he was.
wrong son died.
I'm not saying he was. You know, I love him or anything, but the rest of his sons weren't nearly as erudite and as smart as he was. You know what I mean?
They're fucking idiots.
Saud was.
It's like the Trump boys.
Saud definitely was. Now, he would, of course, continue to hold his majlis, you know, where he'd hear about people's problems. He would feed the poor, give them money, things like this. He would be very charitable, you know, but all power and all money came directly from him, right? So if you never made it to a majlis, then you didn't get anything.
Yeah.
You had to petition.
Would
king.
you say that he was in fact running things?
He was running. He was a cream corn style guy. He was running things.
I don't even want to explain.
No, I'm not.
Would he like kick people out the window if they threw off his groove?
He would definitely fly into rages. He would do that.
Okay,
Is
just
that
like
Emperor's New Groove?
yes, it just made me think of how at the beginning when everyone has to come up to him and ask him every little frivolous question that they have about what they want done.
That's exactly how this works.
Yeah.
What's the name of the character played by Patrick Warburton in that?
Warburton.
Crunk?
Crunk. No.
Crunk?
Yeah, Crunk.
I like him.
Crunk.
Yeah.
The spinach puffs.
He's a great character.
He's a great character. He's a great voice actor, really.
Oh my gosh, yes. He's
Yeah,
so
he's
good.
Brock Sampson.
Iconic.
Yeah, he has a great voice.
He's on Family Guy.
Yeah, he's Joe. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
How come more
okay.
people don't say Patrick Warburton when they ask for, you know, somebody to narrate their life?
That's a good one.
Dude,
It's a good one.
I think
Too
people
many
don't know
people-
his name.
Too many people say Morgan Freeman, and that is a good choice, but it's too obvious.
It's too on the nose. Mine's Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons is a good one.
That's mine.
I want Tom Waits.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And let him riff. I don't care.
I'm gonna need
what
some
do we
time
do?
to think about this.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked.
Now
It's
you,
kind of
now you
cheating
have to have a good one.
because we have
shit.
thought about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm like, I don't
Go.
know.
Go, Maddie. Yeah. Well, due to the abundance of poor in the country, Ibn Saud established a great house. It would be this house where people could come. They could get rice. They could get meat, porridges
Oh, hell yeah.
to feed the poor. You know, he did feed the poor.
Is that where the word porridge comes from?
No.
Poor?
No. No. You're drinking the pour juice. Yeah. Porridge. Get it? Yeah.
Yeah. You get porridge.
Maddie's dying.
I'm literally crying. I was like not listening, and then all of a sudden I realized
Like, that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
that sounds like a
Is that how they
like
named
an
it?
always sunny joke that they would say.
Big pirates live in there?
Yeah. I see a door mark.
Or like
private.
Charlie would just be like eating porridge, and they're like, "Why are you eating porridge?" He's like, "I don't know. Poor people eat porridge."
That's
just
why I
it's
don't
where
have
the-
any money.
Yeah, we should write that show.
Yeah, call
Yeah.
me, you guys. I got ideas.
Yeah, Rob McElhenney needs to give us a call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Stop hanging out with that Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Now, I actually
God.
do like this quote from King Ibn Saud. He said, quote, "I haven't obtained all this wealth by myself. It is a blessing from Allah, and all of you have a share in it. So I want you to guide me to whatever takes me nearer to my Lord and qualifies me for his forgiveness." Mm-hmm. End quote. So he's basically like saying, yeah, you people are where my power comes from.
Right.
Even though it's his own martial ability that really gave him his power.
Feels
you
the
know?
opposite of a lot of billionaires who view themselves as like, self-made
Yeah.
billionaires, I guess.
They don't want to pay their taxes.
Yeah, and they're like, don't want anybody talking about how their dad owns a fucking almond mine, emerald mine.
An almond mine. You get almonds out of the earth.
He's like, yeah,
I mean, technically, they come from the earth.
yeah, rich ass parents.
Yeah. And, he still had the same cup. He had one cup his whole life to drink his cardamom
la-di-da,
coffee.
your majesty.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He still lived in, like, a tent and stuff.
Diogenes wouldn't have that.
I know, right?
He got rid of his cup.
Yeah. You drink water out of your goddamn hands, pal.
Yeah.
He definitely wanted to not live the life of extravagance that would come to basically mark the Saudi royal family after him.
So he didn't get a PS5, right?
No.
He waited till Hogwarts Legacy came out on PS4.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't even wait that long.
His son's, like, MBS probably got a PS5, like, 2 years before it came out.
Yeah.
And already bored with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next.
I'm bored of Hogwarts Legacy, but I pretty much platinumed the game, so no big deal or nothing.
During the global economic downturn of the 1930s, and the fact that he was, all money basically was him in the state, so he would build these lavish things, palaces for himself, infrastructure, all from the money of the state, right? All this stuff. Well, when his products because oil still isn't totally big yet, it hasn't really been found even yet. He's having trouble keeping ends meet with his own spending, his own charitableness, to sort of administer his kingdom.
He's like a reverse Ceausescu.
Ceausescu.
He's a reverse Ceausescu.
Yeah, he could have easily fallen down that, right?
Yeah. Did he have an Orange Julius?
No. Work of the devil.
Yeah.
No.
Orange Julius specifically. What's the name of that cookie store they always had in the mall? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my gosh. Mrs. Fields?
Mrs. Fields.
Mrs. Fields.
Yeah.
Dude, yes.
Mrs. Fields.
So good.
I can't have I'm willing to accept that Orange Julius is work of the devil. That's pretty obvious. But Mrs. Fields cookies, fuck you.
If that's not the work of the devil, then what is?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The devil's dope. I had to look down and see if I was wearing one of my Satan shirts.
Yeah, the satanic shirts.
I was like, close enough. It's got a cat on it.
Spencer's is not the work of God, I'll tell you that.
No, it's work of somebody in between. It might maybe like
capitalistic society, sort of.
It's like I don't know. Trying to think of a middle,
A lesser imp.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I was trying to think of the name of some demons. I just did an episode on it.
Yeah.
Moloch.
Moloch.
No, Mammon. It was Mammon.
There you go.
He's the average.
Mammon.
Mammon. He's the avarice. Mammon was the avarice one, so it's definitely him.
Yeah.
He's running things.
Yeah.
Now,
running Spencer's.
Yeah.
Now, Philby would be the one to tell even Saud, he's like, man, you're whining all the time about not having enough money when you sit probably on a fuck ton of oil. Because remember that one guy that was like looking for the butterfly, the black butterfly that he called like the Admiral?
Yeah.
The Black Admiral butterfly.
And they would wink and wink.
Yeah.
And
the one
like,
that didn't exist.
They're like, yeah, we know you're talking about oil, asshole.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Yeah. Well, his concession to look for oil lapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, like, the American companies came in to look for oil.
So does it
as
work
well.
like gold mining, where it was like you get a plot, you know?
Well, you get a concession to look in a certain
It's
area.
a time period, though.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So you get this amount of time at this area.
To find it. Yeah, and then we'll talk later.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like the gold plots, right? I
Kind
don't know
of.
if those were time-based, but I think...
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so these companies had to go around and look for oil. The thing is about, like, seepage, right? Seepage is when, as I know from There Will Be Blood, seepage is when oil sits on the surface.
Well, that's
but
just
it
seepage.
doesn't necessarily mean there's anything underneath, right? And because the sand moves around so much, it's hard to find where the seepage is.
It probably moves laterally.
Well, and the
up
sand
the
covers the seepage. It's
Yeah.
hard to find it, you know. So like they're like there's seepage down there, but
You gotta pay pheasant prices.
yeah, exactly.
You ever see that movie?
Yeah,
I know you
love
have.
that movie.
I'm talking
Sounds
about
like
folks
a
at
litter
home.
box.
Sounds like a litter box?
Sand covering seepage. I don't know. That's it.
Yeah.
That's when you take a horrible shit in someone's litter
Litter
box.
You're in a...
I don't know why,
I had a friend
And then you cover it.
had
and then you cover it up.
past tense who pissed in my cat's litter box.
Dear Lord,
He was annoyed that I was annoyed by it.
it's not meant to take a human piss, like full piss.
And I was also like, my cat's gonna smell your piss and not want to piss in it.
And now I'm not
Right.
cleaning it up.
Now I'm not gonna be able to piss in it. It was for me and John alone, and Tyler, and some of our
Yeah.
closest friends and family.
But not this guy.
No,
No.
not him. In
no-
fact, I had a list of people who were not allowed to pee in it, and his name. It just said his name.
Yeah.
He disregarded.
Well, with help from the British, they had found oil in Bahrain, like a bunch of oil in Bahrain. And they were like, there's probably oil in Saudi Arabia. So they looked basically all through the 30s. And like, money's getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and they still haven't found oil. And they're like, God damn it, you know? And like, they give them like 3 chances. And it is on like the 3rd chance that finally in 1938, at a drill site in Dhahran, referred to as Dammam number 7, well number 7. That's where they finally found oil.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the largest oil reserve on the planet. By the way.
Lucky number 7.
And then it exploded, and that kid went deaf. Remember that?
Yeah. And
And
then,
then,
he
like,
abandoned it.
And then later he beat that guy with a bowling pin.
The bowling pin.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You showed me this movie.
Because he didn't want oil the whole time, and then he came crawling back to him wanting that oil money.
He's like, he wanted the money.
Yeah, but
He didn't care about the oil.
Yeah, the oil was already gone though.
Yeah, sorry.
Seepage
Yeah.
or drainage.
What do you think paid for this?
Drainage, you boy.
Yeah. Paid for that bowling alley.
Yeah, his indoor bowling.
There Will Be Blood. You ever see that, Maddie?
No.
It's good.
It's great.
Put it on your letterbox.
Oh, okay.
Now!
Do it.
Now!
Do it right this second.
Yes, now!
Yeah, now.
Otherwise, you'll forget. And I can't have you forgetting.
No.
2007.
Yes, it's very good.
Oh my god, it's so long.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's 160 minutes.
It does not feel that long.
What is that?
That's
Yeah.
almost 3 hours.
It's 2.5 hours. Anyway, meanwhile, Ibn Saud would position Saudi Arabia as neutral during the ongoing strife in Europe. He didn't want to piss off the Americans that were looking for the oil cash cow, and he was still, of course, friends with Britain. He definitely didn't like Italy, especially with the thing with the Yemeni and in the Asir. He didn't like the fact that Italy was funding them. He didn't like the Italian war in Ethiopia.
Yeah, so
anything
Mussolini's
like
in
that.
the mix at this point.
Oh yeah, he couldn't pronounce Mussolini either. He called him like Madman or something instead.
I once had a Lyft driver who saw my name Christopher and thought that was a very confusing name. And I'm going to be honest, if you don't start with English, I see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I suppose. Yeah.
The
Yeah, no.
CH and the PH make
Ugh.
weird.
When it's not Christopher.
Like, how do you say this bullshit?
Tristopher.
Tristopher. Yeah.
Tristopher.
Yeah.
Power.
So he had to kind of be in, because he didn't want to piss all these people off. He was in a kind of a precarious situation. There was also the talks of the Jewish homeland that the Allies were on the side of, and he really wasn't. So Nazis came over, and communists even came over, trying to win over the Arabs, right? As sort of another thing, like in World War One, happened in World War One.
Yeah.
This time they didn't have to deal with Turkey. They were neutral as well. So they didn't court him quite as much as they did in World War One. But he did walk a fine line. There were people like Fritz Grobe in Iraq that was a Nazi fascist sympathizer. That was only there for a short time. Ibn Saud captured him, and the British were like, hand him over. He was like, no.
No, this is my guy.
Yeah. There was shit like that. There was like a boat of Italians that washed up on his shore, and he took and treated as guests. The Allies wanted them, and he said no. But then again, he would never do anything mean to the Allies, and he was secretly rooting for the British.
So this Fritz guy you're talking about,
Fritz Grobe.
Fritz Grobe, was he German? That's a German sounding name.
Yes. Yes.
I want to know more about him.
That's a story for a different day.
Was he a political prisoner for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like those guys
It's
that are just like, and then they become like trading things, like, but they've been in jail for years. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the guy from Lord of War.
Or V.I. Lenin
Yeah.
was that way.
Yeah, he was. They used him.
Completely different circumstances.
Sorry, I'm not going to go on that.
Fritz Grobe, that's honestly a story for a different day. I'm only going to touch on it now. But H. St. John Philby, he kept being like, told you England was going to lose, because Dunkirk had just happened. British boats were sunk, France was completely knocked out, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Britain fought on by themselves, before the Soviets switched sides, basically. And he's like, told you, and that's why he went to prison. But for a while there, even Saud was like, man, you're kind of the bearer of bad news, aren't you? you know?
You're a bit of a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, you're bumming me out.
Yeah.
It was around this time that Western media actually did a story on Ibn Saud. Noel Bush published an interview with Ibn Saud in May of 1943 in Life magazine, where basically the West was introduced to Ibn Saud and indeed Saudi Arabia. Interesting stuff, because he does situate himself as a friend of the West in the West eyes for like the first time ever.
Right.
Where they were like, our friend in Arabia, the Saudis. You know what I mean? It sort of begins in the hearts and minds of Americans, let's say.
Yeah.
Now, which is kind of crazy to think about. The kingdom isn't that old. The relations aren't that old. This is all very modern history. You know what I mean? It didn't happen that long ago. It's just weird to think about.
Yeah.
During the last stages of World War II, Ibn Saud was approached with a secret meeting to see if he was interested in meeting the American president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This is right after the Yalta Conference. Remember when we did Haile Selassie and he went and met with Haile Selassie? He was also going to meet, right before he met with Haile Selassie, he met with Ibn Saud.
Right.
Before that, he also met with the leader of Egypt as well. But he did this because he knew that the oil reserves in Saudi Arabia would be extremely important to the American economy in the post-war times, the post-war American economy.
Yeah.
He knew that would be a thing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I think FDR knew a lot about what was going to pop off in French, what they called French Indochina, Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the Americans would basically need that oil, especially where it was from geographically, for this upcoming conflict in Vietnam.
Yeah.
This is why Roosevelt wanted to meet with Ibn Saud, to sort of solidify the friendship between the two. No one really knew about it, except for a handful of people. Even Winston Churchill didn't know about it. And once he did find out about it, he didn't want to be outdone, so he planned his own trip.
Yeah.
Meeting with the same people. Ibn Saud agreed, It'd be his first time sort of out at sea, on the Red Sea. Mm-hmm. And he took, like, his full entourage with him. And they were like, hey, bring, like, 10 or 12 people max on this boat.
He's
and he was like, I'll bring the people that are necessary to be there with me. Right?
Yeah.
And for a king, an Arabian king, there's a lot of people. It was over 80 people he showed up with.
Oh my, hell yeah. His entourage.
He's like, we gave you a +1.
Yeah. Yeah, he shows up with all those people.
It was a wedding.
Yeah. So he was going to get on this naval vessel, and then they were going to take him to the USS Quincy, which is where FDR was on, right? So they find him, right? And he's there with all these people, and like, so here's what he has, and just in generally speaking, he had numerous slaves. Slavery was still very much legal in Saudi Arabia until 1962, I believe. Numerous slaves, food tasters, bodyguards, ulema, fortune teller, an astrologer, his royal harem, cooks, high-ranking Saudi officials, including family members, and a very small herd of sheep.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's full menagerie.
Yeah, and he has all this stuff, and they're like, no, the sheep, dude. And they're like, guy, you gotta leave your sheep here.
It kind of reminds me of Lord Byron with all his menagerie.
Yeah, except that, like, even Saud is like, no, I insist. I'm gonna bring the sheep, and I'm gonna feed everyone on board. You got how many guys on board? Yeah, well, we have enough sheep, we can feed everyone. Yeah. And I insist. It's my kingdom. I insist on feeding everyone.
You're gonna eat my fucking sheep.
Yeah, and they're like, no, it's fine. We have enough food for everybody on board, including you and you know, your pared down retinue. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, we have it all on board. It's all refrigerated and you know, preserved and kept cool. And he's like, what are you talking about?
That's a thing?
Yeah, he had never heard of a refrigerator.
What's a refrigerator?
Refrigeration?
Yeah, and so like, yeah, they tried to explain it to him. Like, they're like, yeah, it keeps it cool and it preserves. And like, he's from, you know, once you butcher them, you know, the sheep or whatever, you have a day or however long until it goes bad, you know, and that's just a reality.
He's like, we bought a...
He's like, what's cold?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're like, keep it cool? What the hell are you talking about?
He's from Saudi Arabia.
Exactly,
he doesn't know. And so, like, they tried to explain it to him, and after a little while, he was just like, forget it. Like he didn't understand, and he was just like, forget it. He goes, listen, you guys eat what you're gonna eat then, and we're gonna eat this, okay? Because I'm not... I don't understand what you mean. It sounds like you have rotten food on board. Or y'all are eating rotten food or something.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care to know what you're... It's like somebody trying to explain cryptocurrency to me.
Right? Yeah. You can have that. I'm going to stick with this.
Yeah. I assume the, like, food tasters were, like, in case things were poisoned or something.
Yeah.
But I like thinking about it as him being like, will I like this? Try this dish and tell me if I'll like it.
Oh, too much salt.
Yeah.
Like, he says too much salt. He has the best taste buds around.
I trust him.
Take him back.
I trust this guy's palate.
Yeah,
he has a better palate than
he has a poison taster for before. He doesn't want the good palate guy to die.
No.
He gives a poison taster. He's got a shitty palate.
Yeah, the food tasters have their own poison.
He barely tastes a thing. He's like me. I would be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I like
Andrew would be the other one. Andrew's got a refined taste.
Yeah, he has a good palate. Yeah. So he left some of his herd of sheep, right, on shore. He left his harem because they were like, we don't, like, there's rules about women being certain places, you know, and witnessing certain things. We can't even have that. Like, there's narrow spaces aboard. I'm telling you, you don't want that. And he was like, fine. So he leaves his harem back. And by the way, he leaves his son Saud with a radio. And all they do every day at, like, certain periods of the day, they basically say back and forth to each other, okay? And then he says, okay. And all it is just like, is everything cool? Do I need to come back there?
Yeah.
And no, everything's fine.
Is everything on the up and up?
Yeah. But all they're saying is, okay.
It was before they knew that you had to say 10-4.
Yeah. Over. Say over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say
but the American ships heard it. And they're like, what the fuck does okay mean? Like, okay.
They're gonna kill us.
What are they talking about? And they were
Bomb
like,
them!
yeah, they had to be like, no, I'm just saying this.
This whole part of the story is a hilarious example of culture clash.
Oh yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
this is-
yeah.
So when they get on the ship too, like he insists on setting up like his tents and stuff on the deck of the ship. And they're like, no, we cleared out the captain's cabin. You can have that. We cleared out certain areas of the crew, so some of your retinue can sleep there. And they were like, no, let's put up a tent and sleep under the stars. Thank you.
We're not savages.
Yeah.
You already made us leave
okay.
our harem behind, like a bunch of animals.
Yeah. And like they launched like torpedoes so we could see them explode and depth charges.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'd be like, whoa, that's fucking
That's
cool.
badass. I'm into
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They
Like-
showed him a newsreel footage from the Pacific, and he was like, this, like, it also reminds me of like Pancho Villa, when he's like, only men made of strong stuff should be allowed to watch movies.
Yeah.
Well, even Saud was like, I don't necessarily have a problem with moving pictures, but it's not right for the Saudi people because it might distract them from their religious duties.
Oh, it definitely will.
Yeah.
Look at TikTok.
Yeah. That definitely distracts you.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's to be distracted.
Some people on land, by the way, they thought that Ibn Saud had been kidnapped. And they like were lamenting his, and they're like, no, it's okay, it's
They're
okay.
like, he left
it'll
his
be back."
harem behind.
Yeah.
So he must be dead.
Yeah.
Or as good as dead.
Yeah, as good as dead. So there was another film note that they were going to show to the American crew on board, and it was a movie with Lucille Ball called Best
Ricky.
Foot Forward.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Oh.
You are.
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar
Best
with it.
Foot
So I
Forward?
made it sound like I'm a little more, but I've
You've heard of it.
heard of it. And
Okay. Well, it's a movie where like Lucille Ball is with a bunch of servicemen, and they all basically like clamor over her. Right? And there's a part where like they tear her dress almost all the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking
no.
about.
And there's a lot of woo,
Yeah.
like from the woots and catcalls from the audience when that's happening among servicemen. And anyway, as they're gonna play it, a couple of Ibn Saud's sons, like princes, come and they're like, "Hey, can we see it?" And they're like, "Well, Ibn Saud said that you couldn't and you weren't allowed."
It's a bit dirt. It's a bit naughty.
Yeah, and he was like the Saudi prince was like, "Do you want to show it to me, or would you rather be hacked into a million pieces?" And they were like,
And I'll put those pieces in a box.
"Yeah, I
glass
guess.
box.
Yeah, I guess we will show it to you then." And he's like, "I promise, my father won't figure it out, or no one will tell him." And so they showed it 2 nights. Well, the first night, like a couple of the Saudi royal princes showed up. And then, like, the second night, a bunch of them did. And it never got back to Ibn Saud. But they, like, did the hooting and the catcalling along with the rest of the...
This is why I'm noticing a lot of new faces at Fight Club.
Yeah.
I look around and see a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
It means a lot of you breaking the first 2 rules of Fight Club.
Right.
I don't know if I got that right exactly, but
Yeah.
close.
You know what you... Yeah.
You've seen the film.
Yeah. So when the boat finally did get to where the USS Quincy was, as it pulled up and had like the tents and stuff on the deck, one of FDR's aides was like, "Sir, you got to see this." And like they came out and they peeked like around a bulkhead, and like
Like
peeked
cartoons.
around. Yeah,
Like 3 of them, like the fucking...
like the
On
fucking
top
Three
of each other,
Stooges.
even
Yeah.
though it makes no sense.
I was thinking of Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah. Well, they were peeking around and they saw like the tents on board and they saw like a freshly slaughtered sheep like hanging from like
my
a
God.
rope, and they're like, "Wow, what the fuck?" Like on an American vessel, like what the fuck,
Yeah.
And so like, and because at this time, like even so, he's getting up there. He's in his like early 70s, late 60s at this point. He's almost totally blind in that one eye. He has arthritis hardcore. And he can't walk up the gangplanks and stuff, so they winch him up in like whaling boats,
Cool.
like old Navy whaling boats, which is weird for everyone to see. Like their king, like And FDR comes out, he's in his wheelchair and sits down with Ibn Saud, and they speak through an interpreter, of course, but Ibn Saud is like, "You're lucky." He's like, "You got a chair to take you wherever you're gonna go. My legs just don't work anymore. And he's like, well, at least you can walk. At least your legs work. He's like, I don't know. I think I prefer the chair, you know. And FDR was like, well, if you like the chair so much, I have a spare. You can have it. It's yours. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. And although, like, even Saud was like 6'2", 6'3", Franklin Roosevelt was not near that
It's probably
tall.
pretty tall at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially that part
among,
of the world.
Yeah, especially among Arabs. But it was too small for Ibn Saud. But he still, like, kept it as, like, a prized possession.
Yeah.
This wheelchair that FDR gave him. And, they had, like, friendly conversation at first. FDR had to tell his daughter, Alice, like, you got two choices. You're either going to stay here in the room the whole time, or you're going to go into Cairo and go shopping with, like, members of the Secret Service. And she was like, what do you mean? Well, how come I can't talk to Ibn Saud? And he's like, this man is a Muslim,
A Muslim. He'll do transatlantic
trying to do the
accents.
transatlantic, a Muslim, and
I watched Charade with Cary Grant last night.
Yeah. Cary Grant talked a lot like FDR did.
Yeah.
You
He famously had a transatlantic accent. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she went to Cairo to go shopping because he was like, women can't be in talks with men, according to this man that we're going to meet
Women
with.
be shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now you can do that online.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of packages. I'm like, Danny, you got a package? And I was like, what is it? She's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, if I get a package, I know what it fucking is because I order so few packages.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It happens to me all the time. I'll get packages and I'll be like, I have no idea what I ordered.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
It happens to me
happened
too.
today.
That's what I should do.
It'd be one of
Order
three things.
Everybody likes a package.
Yes.
I just spent all my money on packages.
You gotta
get,
shop
like,
when you're
chapstick
drunk.
or something. Yeah, or that.
I want
That's
something
what you gotta
big,
do.
lightweight. Like, you get a big box.
A
but
big
it's lightweight.
tube of chapstick.
Like a giant bag of Cheetos.
Oh, there you go.
Some light, like the box.
Why
is
does it have to be light? Don't they basically bring it to
Because
your
then I
door?
can get a billion of them.
Oh, just order packing material. Yeah. Just order packing
Then
peanuts.
you get the joy of opening it.
And the
nothing
joy
in
of
there.
packing peanuts.
Yeah, it's just packing peanuts.
The ones these days that
Oops.
are biodegradable.
Oops, all packing peanuts. I'm going to compete with Amazon. Create a company called Oops, all packing peanuts.
Yeah.
The ones these days that are like biodegradable though are so satisfying because you just like melt them with water.
I thought you were
really?
you can put them in your
Yeah.
mouth or something.
Or
You just eat 'em.
you could probably do that.
I'm not gonna. That'd poison you.
It's got to be made out of like some kind
That's
of
probably
like,
fine.
It's
peanut oil or some
fine.
shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like packing peanuts. That's where the name comes from.
Yeah. They
was
used to be made
unintentional.
of peanuts.
Yeah. Back in my day,
I think.
we shipped everything.
Wait,
with
I might
peanuts.
be totally making this up, but didn't they? Okay, never mind.
They're made of peanuts now.
Did you think the people were shipping stuff with peanuts instead of packing
Peanut
peanuts?
shells. I swear to
Oh,
God.
peanut
Did I make it
shells.
up that like they used to use peanut shells to
I
package
don't think
stuff?
so. I don't
If
think
that,
They're
that's-
shaped
Did
like
they?
peanuts. That's probably why they're
That's-
called
yeah.
packing peanuts. Or they used to use circus peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my,
This candy's terrible. We'll ship
You're like-
stuff with it.
It might as
what
well.
about like a peanut shaped marshmallow that's way denser than a normal marshmallow?
and
Yeah.
the flavor? Who knows? I don't know.
It
It's supposed
definitely
to be
doesn't taste like a
peanut
peanut.
It's whatever.
It's supposed to be peanut
Stop.
butter.
There is no way that the flavor is peanut butter. I am going to
guess that's
lose
what
my
it's
shit
supposed to
right
be.
now if that's what they're telling me.
Wait. I think it was peanut butter
They're
at one point, and then
orange.
they changed them to something
They're
else.
orange. Yeah,
It's
that's
like a different taste
Yeah.
after peanuts.
Those things are fucking disgusting. And
They're the most nastiest thing I've ever.
It's a part of
ever had.
Americana, though. The story of circus
doesn't
peanuts
need to be.
are
We
kind
can
of
move on.
interesting.
hey, don't give away our next episode.
Yeah.
Move
The
on
history of
past-
circus peanuts.
That's the next episode.
Oh,
It's gonna be
no.
our 100th episode.
Yeah, that was the.
It's all this build up for circus peanuts.
That would actually be super funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, for lunch, gang, they had a pretty lavish meal. They had the cardamom spiced coffee.
Very cool.
Ibn Saud actually wanted to take Roosevelt on land so he could feed him and be like, okay, I'm going to feed you. And Roosevelt was like, I'm stuck to a time slot here. We can't deviate from it. And he like yelled at one of his advisors and he's like, how come you didn't tell me about the time slot?
Yeah.
You know, like that
Have
kind
my
of deal.
advisor decapitated
Yeah.
in front of FDR. so that he knows.
And right before lunch, too, FDR got in, like, the elevator and paused the elevator in between floors so he could smoke a cigarette.
Oh, hell
Cool.
yeah.
Because, like, he didn't want to offend Ibn Saud and smoke in front of him. So, like, he smoked, like, 2 in the elevator. He was a chain smoker.
Like, he wasn't going to smell like it when he...
yeah. Oh, yeah,
He literally
right?
hotboxed cigarettes
hotboxed.
in an elevator.
Like, this guy smells like shit.
Yeah.
He did it to not piss him off. When they got back from their lunch, their small lunch break, they got down to, like, real business.
Oh, like Mulan.
In what way?
The song.
Let's get down to business.
Okay.
I knew she'd know.
To defeat the Huns.
I can make all these Disney references.
They were fighting...
The Huns?
Yeah, they're fighting the Huns in the...
That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't they be fighting the Mongols?
I
mean, the
don't
Huns
know.
are
They
steppe
are Mongols,
people.
though, but they do say defeat the Huns in the song.
Why do they say Huns? I mean, the Huns
Yeah.
are steppe people, but they're not Mongols.
They are
Maybe
fighting
they couldn't
Mongols,
say
right?
Mongols at that time because...
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Oh, because people have said, like,
Because
the
it
Mongols
doesn't
are
rhyme
doing,
with-
like, bad
Because it
things all the
doesn't-
time.
Because it didn't rhyme.
Well, they actually don't rhyme Huns in that song.
Yeah, I guess
So,
you're
does
right.
it, so it's historically
Oh, yeah, they
accurate,
do.
inaccurate on purpose.
They rhyme it with sons.
Yes, they do.
Sons.
Did I ask for daughters
But
and they sent me sons or
no,
whatever?
the other way around.
Did I ask for daughters?
Did
No.
they
I asked for sons
send me,
who are
They
Huns.
sent me daughters when I asked for sons.
They sent me daughters when I asked for Huns to defeat the Mongols. Mulan.
Anyway. They got down to real business, okay?
Sorry. I still think of the Mulan song.
I know.
Let's
well,
get down to burgers.
burgers.
First, we need some buns. Give me a beer.
The talk of the Jewish homeland came up. FDR was like, I want to talk to you about something.
Been dying to talk about the Jewish homeland.
Well, and Ibn Saud, yeah, FDR says, I really need to talk to you about something. And Ibn Saud, like, leans forward and he goes, do you mean Jews? Mm-hmm. Which I think is kind of funny. Just, like, leaning forward and saying that is kind of ridiculous.
Well, you know how many times I've gone up to somebody like, you say you need to talk to your boss about some issue you're having. You go up to him and you're like, I need to talk to you about something. They're like, oh, you mean the Jews? And you're like, no.
No, I wasn't. This
Where'd
is more
you
of
get
an
that
HR
from?
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually because you keep bringing
like,
up
oh,
Jewish people all the time, and I want to talk about that.
Yeah. We gotta talk about your armband. No.
Can we talk about your blatant and casual anti-Semitism?
Well, I thought it was freedom of speech. I thought it was America. Well, so it came up. FDR was like, yeah, I do. I want to talk to you about the Jewish homeland, the plans for the Jewish homeland in Palestine. Even Saud is like, look, I understand you got some intel about this horrible thing that happened, the Holocaust. And he's like, if that's true, this Holocaust thing, that's horrible, right? That's horrible that anyone would ever do this to anyone. The problem I see is, what did the Palestinians ever do to the Jews? Right? How come they should be punished?
Took their homeland.
Yeah, right? Why should they be punished for what happened to the Jews? And FDR was like, okay, well, Churchill brought up another point. He goes, well, what about Libya? And Ibn Saud is like, same problem. You're just changing places.
Just
Right.
give them
It's the
Boca
same
Raton.
problem. Well, Ibn Saud was like, well, what about the choicest lands in Germany? You just defeated Germany. How about you take away their land and you give the Jews their land? And FDR was like, well, a lot of them are afraid to go back to the same place that forced them into concentration camps.
It's like, yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, that's solid. Yeah. Well, and Ibn Saud was like, okay.
Yeah,
well,
we're gonna rebuild your holy temple at Auschwitz.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, Ibn Saud was like, that's fair, okay. But if you care about the Jews so much, how come you don't take them to America?
Yeah, give them Florida.
Or give them Nebraska, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? It's pretty goddamn empty, if you ask me.
Corn, come on.
Something. But he was like, FDR was like, look, to be completely honest with you, I have a lot of anti-Semites in America, and frankly, I don't want the same thing that just happened in Germany to happen here in America. Or, back in America.
Because there's no anti-Semites in the Middle East.
well, they're all almost certainly anti-Semites.
I feel
right?
like that's almost worse if that's your argument.
Well, yeah, but the thing is even Saud, like, anytime Jews were mistreated in his mind unduly, he would be like, well, yeah, you shouldn't treat people like this. Mm-hmm. But our religions are diametrically opposed, and he could never really understand it from FDR either. He was like, you're Christian, you know, these people also take your prophet, Jesus, and don't recognize him. They don't recognize our prophet Muhammad either. Mm-hmm. That's why we hate them. We don't understand why you don't hate them more.
Because we're supposed to be a secular country.
Exactly. And they're a theological country.
People don't want to believe that, but...
well, and it's...
nowadays.
Not really becoming... You know, it's becoming more of a theocratic republic, as we are seeing. But he's not wrong. You know what I mean? Like, from his own point of view, he's not wrong. Mm-hmm. And basically, like, FDR was... He was like, okay, well, I couldn't get through to this man on Israel. And it was, he told Eleanor, you know, it was a failure of his. He thought it was like one of the biggest failures he ever had is not getting through to Ibn Saud about at least some tacit support towards the creation of Israel. Mm-hmm. And because Ibn Saud was stalwart. He was like, no, you'll never get any help from me. In fact, if you ever do that, I will fight with my Muslim brothers against you.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, well, what if you repatriated some Palestinians to Saudi Arabia? And he goes, I shouldn't have to do that.
No.
You know, he's like, I'll gladly take them if and when they come, but I shouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if you're unwilling to take them to America, then it seems doubly ridiculous. Like you were just saying, seems doubly ridiculous to bring them here.
Well, if that's your reasoning, is that you're worried about anti-Semitism in America, like you're kind of putting them in the worst possible place in the fucking world.
Mm. Yeah, because they'd
be safer in Germany.
There's a separate conversation, I think, that we can't really get into now about why, you know, Christian Zionism, Jewish Zionism, and why Islam is the way it is, and those not necessarily opposing, but at certain points they oppose, and why they don't all get along at every single point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Well, they're all Abrahamic, but they don't get along at certain points.
They sort of, yeah.
And we could get into that. That's a whole other thing.
Well, I think that, like, the fact that they're all kind of Abrahamic religions and they stem from a similar idea doesn't necessarily mean they didn't go in drastically different directions.
Oh, my goodness,
and
yes.
That's what you see.
My goodness, yes. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, just the fact that they stem from the same idea doesn't necessarily mean they can get along, right?
Well, they get, like...
I mean,
the Jews and the Christians only get along when you talk about a certain thing, right?
Well, like, Protestants and Catholics can't get along, and they're both Christians.
Yeah, exactly. But they do get along on certain things.
Yeah.
And the Christians and the Muslims get along in certain things. Mm-hmm. But when you try to get all three to work in concert with each other... Mm-hmm. It's simply not going to work out. It's not going to work out. And Ibn Saud tried to make that clear to FDR. And FDR, you know, he's from a quote-unquote secular nation. Of course, he is a Christian. It's hard for him to see why it's such a big deal.
Right.
Even today, it's hard for Americans to see why it's such a big deal. Why are Israelis and Palestinians blowing each other up on a daily basis? Why? Mm-hmm. Well... It's stuff that we can't understand. Yeah. Okay. It's stuff that is not ingrained into our culture and our country. You know what I mean?
To go back real quickly to the Protestants, Catholics. You remember in Dairy Girls when that Russian girl shows up and she's like, talking about how like she's like, you guys are kind of just have the same religion. It's really stupid. Like everyone, I don't get it.
One
like,
can read the book, one can't.
Yeah, they're like, it just sounds like it's two flavors of the same religion. I don't understand. It just seems stupid.
It's Christianity, yeah. It's all Christianity.
Yeah. And then the one girl's like, oh my, they're like trying to explain it. They're like, well, you know, there's a lot of like political. Then the one girl's like, oh my God, it is stupid.
Yeah. One can wear a condom, the other can't.
Yeah. The other one can wear a condom or even use a French tickler.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was
I know what you're referencing.
Yeah.
Monty Python.
No, sir, I'm a Protestant. I can wear a French tickler on the end of my cock. Anyway. So basically where FDR was stuck with during this conversation, he said, all right, well, while I'm president, I won't do anything to go against the Arab people, and I won't do anything for the Jewish people either, unless I have both of them at the table and we talk about this while everyone is present, basically. And he said this in a letter, he basically solidified this. The problem was 5 weeks after this meeting with Ibn Saud, FDR died.
Yeah.
So it went out the window. And Harry Truman, even afterwards, he was coldly pragmatic about the situation. And he goes, look, after seeing all this stuff with the Holocaust, like seeing all these newsreels with these emaciated bodies, all of my constituents want a Jewish homeland. And because that's how our country fucking works, my constituents want something, that's what they fucking get. That's how it fucking works. I don't care what you say. Sorry, that's how it works.
I do think it's fun. Like but he's the president of America, not the Middle East.
Exactly,
that's not his fucking land to give.
It's not my fucking I'm telling you, I'm gonna support Israel because that's what they want. That's how it works. So there's that. Now Churchill, of course, when he met with Ibn Saud, he showed up, but everyone was like, "Okay, Churchill, I know you like to drink and smoke," and he's like, "You're goddamn right, I like to drink and smoke," And
it's a good British accent.
Yeah, it's not really.
No, I know, but it's the voice of a man who likes to drink and smoke.
Yeah, and they were like, "You can't drink and smoke around Ibn Saud. It's against his religion." He's like, I want to say he said this right in front of Ibn Saud as he was putting a cigar in his mouth, but he goes, "Mr. Saud, your religion says you can't drink and smoke. But my religion says that I can drink and smoke. So I'm going to drink and smoke." Which I kind of dig, because he's just like, fuck you and your religion. Not everyone's going to agree with your fucking religion. That sounds
like Churchill's. Churchill
So he did. He drank and smoked.
Was an enormous piece of shit.
Yeah, he drank and smoked around him. And Ibn Saud was not impressed with Churchill because of this. He gave Ibn Saud like a Rolls Royce, the same as he did with Haile Selassie. It was left-hand drive. And the thing is about left-hand drive among the Arabs is riding to the left of the driver is like a diminutive insult. So he gave it to someone else. Because he's like, I can't ride on the left. I'm the king. Yeah. A king can't be caught dead riding on the left. Yeah. So, anyway.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, well, it does to him,
Yeah, if someone gave me a Rolls Royce, that was the driver's on the wrong side, I would give it away immediately, absolutely.
I would sell it. He'd probably give me good money for it.
He gave it to one of his sons.
It was like somebody wants a fucking car that drives on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. He went through Cairo for the first time after his meeting with Churchill.
Did he see those sand triangles?
Yeah, they showed him the pyramids, and they were like, "Sir, those are the pyramids. They're ancient." And he goes, "What a fantastic waste of money."
I think it was Kunk. Is that what his name?
Philomena Kunk.
Yeah, I think she referred to them as sand triangles.
Yeah,
I love her.
Pyramids.
That's just so funny.
It's pretty good. Meanwhile, the oil, especially post-war Saudi Arabia, oil profits had skyrocketed. Like, they'd made more money on oil than they could ever dream of making. Like, it went up by 300% the year after the war, and then 600% the year after that. And it just went up.
And they're becoming like the richest people on the planet.
Yeah, because, well, basically what happened is once they did find oil, the California Standard Oil Company laundered money through the Belgian country.
Right.
To a Persian oil company. And through them opened an American affiliate of the Persian oil company to make all of this possible. Okay, and that's putting it very simply. It's really complicated. I'm not going to bore you.
You could do an episode on that entire thing.
On that entire thing, yeah.
On the last two sentences could have been an episode.
It basically, the Arabian oil company came from this. Aramco. It came from all of this, right? All these American corporations came from this. OPEC, which is the oil cartel of the Middle East, came from the Red Line Agreement, where you couldn't, produce or look for oil in this certain area. They had to get rid of the Red Line Agreement in order for Aramco to flourish. But what happened is all these Americans had the know-how and all of that stuff. So in order to work at Aramco, they had to live in Saudi Arabia. So they made this town that was modeled after a Californian town. And it was a gated town. And in this town, they had parades, barbershops, grocery stores, everything you would find in a normal American town. American cars, all that stuff. Football games, baseball games, all that stuff.
Apple pie.
In this town. And
Cooling on
around
windowsills.
around it was the segregated area. These people that did work at Aramco but didn't live with the Americans. Very segregated. This all happened in the late 40s, 1950s. It would be that way, really, up until the early 1980s when Saudi Arabia nationalized Aramco and it became a part of the country. And the thing is that Ibn Saud, that old contract he signed with people looking for oil only gave him a fraction of a percentage on all the barrels of oil that they took out of his country.
And that was probably was that for him a lot of money?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But he looked at places like Venezuela that got a 50-50 share with their American company in oil. And he wanted something like that. So he renegotiated it by basically tricking the Americans into renegotiating. Right? They nationalized eventually after Ibn Saud's death. And instead of a 50-50 share and that 50% going straight to the Saudi state, which is the Saudi royal family, which is Ibn Saud, whoever controls that, right? Now they're making 50 cents or 50 cents on the dollar, right, of every barrel of oil, which makes them absurdly wealthy. You know what I mean? They have foreign tax credits, so their money carries more weight than anyone else's, right? Because they have this they called it the golden gimmick tax credit, right? So they can basically invest in our infrastructure, if you want to call it that. Sometimes they invest in our defense contracting needs,
Right.
Because they know that they can get weapons at a lower price if they discount oil to us.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how it's kind of worked since Truman. Every president, and I want to make that clear, every United States president has always done business with the Saudis. I want to make that clear. You'll find people out there on like the Joe Rogan podcast and stuff that'll say Obama belongs in prison for doing business with the Saudis. So does every president then, by that metric.
Donald Trump too.
I'll get there. Donald Trump turned it up to 11.
Yeah.
But I'll get there. Like I was saying, Ibn Saud, he built palaces, infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and universities. The thing is with these schools and universities, they taught a very strict Wahhabi doctrine, which should be unsurprising to you.
Yeah.
Right? The problem with that is that generations later, you get strict Wahhabis that want to go back to an older form of Islam. So, like what I was saying earlier, Equanism.
Yeah.
They're almost indirectly exporting Equanism. And in like the Sunni diaspora, they will fund anyone that wants to be Wahhabi. And they will give them money to teach the Wahhabi doctrine. And this is how people come up with the idea that like, oh, the Saudis they want us to have Sharia law. It's like, no, they're funding these communities that are Saudi and want to be Wahhabi. That's what they're doing. And sometimes, it blows up in your face because all of a sudden they want to attack people. Like it happened in Poland and whatnot. It doesn't happen as often as you think either. Like that's another thing. I don't want to scare you and tell you that the Saudis are constantly funding all of these mosques to rise up against you. Remember the fatwa that says you can't rise up against your governing populace, your king or whoever your government is.
Right.
Right. That is a fatwa. Every Sunni must believe that. Right. Some disagree, but keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Right. As we move forward, Equanism is what you should really fear. Not even Wahhabism, but Equanism. Because that carries a lot of different faces, a lot of different, values. right? It's
Right.
the idea that you would attack somebody because they are of a different belief system, of a
Yeah.
different faith than you are. Because all the teachers from these schools would be these fanatics,
Right.
right? And they would tell you, anyone that's not a Wahhab is a fanatic, an infidel, somebody that needs to be getting rid of, right? Now, a lot of these building contracts, some of them really big, like they fixed like the Dome of Rock, they fixed mosques in Mecca and Medina, really big projects. They were funded and taken on by a Yemeni man named Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden.
Oh no.
And it basically made the bin Laden family the second richest family in Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah.
Second only, of course, to the Saudi family themselves, right? This of course, is where Osama bin Laden comes
You don't
from.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as long as that's clear. Now, not to get too into it, but Osama bin Laden, like a lot of fervent Saudi men at the time, joined the Mujahideen to fight the Soviets in Afghanistan. And of course, the Mujahideen were funded by Americans. I mean, funded by Saudis, funded by Americans.
Right.
Trained and using American weapons and training. So when people talk about the Saudis funding terrorism abroad indirectly, well, then we are indirectly funding their indirect funding of international terrorism. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Right. Because there are guns that they're using.
Oh yeah.
Right? Our training that they're using. Our Air Force bases and naval bases are way more strategically important than any of their causes.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's why we are, another reason why we're friendly with the Saudis. Not just because they sell us cheap oil for guns, but because of this as well.
You remember that part in the first Iron Man movie when in those Humvees, and then they get attacked and a bomb lands right next to him and it says Stark on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't go off. It should have.
No, it did. It did.
Oh, yeah.
You might be thinking of you're thinking of a different bomb than that.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The one that didn't kill Wanda.
Yeah. Now, Ibn Saud also had a couple of assassination attempts made on his life. Once while he was performing the Hajj, a Yemeni man tried to kill him. The reasons were not laid out. Probably had something to do with the strife in Yemen that continues till this day. He pardoned this man, Ibn Saud did. He wanted to have no retaliatory things towards the Yemeni after that assassination attempt. Somebody else tried to blow up a plane that he was on. Things like this. It's, again, still equanism, right? And the fact that he walks that fine line, that high wire act of geopolitical realpolitik.
Would you compare this kind of idea to the idea that like somebody may bomb an abortion clinic?
Yeah,
I would too.
I would, because they're not directly opposing you, but it could be viewed that they're indirectly opposing you.
Yeah.
And that's why you would do it, just to send that type of message, right? It was around this time, early 1950s, late 1940s, that his favorite sister, Nira, died. Remember, Nira was the same one on the saddle with him?
Yeah.
When he was being taken out of Riyadh?
Yeah.
She died. The country's first telephone had a line from Ibn Saud to Nira, because they talked that often. He really, the only person that had a better or a comparable name, not a better name, but a comparable name to Ibn Saud was Nira.
Is it Nura?
Nira.
Not Nero.
No, Nira.
Nira.
It's actually spelled weirdly, though. It's Noura.
So like Nira.
It's Nira.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He consulted with her on pretty much everything. And when she died, he felt like a piece of him died, Now, while most of while Ibn Saud is living this very austere life, even with all of this crazy amount of money that's coming into his country, his sons, the Saudi princes, are making a name for themselves abroad. What do you think that name is? When you think of Saudi princes abroad, what do you think of?
Oh, I don't know.
Gambling.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
gambling.
thought you meant like their literal names.
I was. That's why I was
No.
confused.
Like Saudi Princess Abroad. What do? They gamble.
Right,
they spend wildly.
yeah.
You know.
I thought you meant like, oh shit, do they have go by a specific name?
No. They drink a lot. They
Yeah.
do things that's not allowed in Saudi Arabia.
They're partying.
Yeah.
They're partying. They're as that's the book that I read for this, which is just called Ibn Saud. It's a great book. It's a huge tome, but it moves at a breakneck speed. By the way, it's great. But they were like, they were whoring, is what they said in the book.
Oh yeah.
Fucking bitches and getting money.
Yeah. And gambling and getting drunk, and one of them, he got so drunk he like came back with a Tommy gun and like shot up the place.
Cool.
And like he had to be put to death. Like even Saud had to put his own son to death after this. Certain things like this, sometimes they'd act up, they'd put him away and then keep real quiet about him so people forget about him, that kind of thing.
Rich kids.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
rich
literally.
kids to the hilt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Turned
absolutely.
up to 11.
Yeah. And most of the royal family, they spent their money on luxuries like gardens and cars and palaces. And even Saud was like, he's getting up there in age, and he's like, we're going to build a railway from the Persian Gulf to Riyadh. And they were like, you should build a highway.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, a railway. I was on a train in Egypt.
It's like,
My goodness. And they were like, trains are out of date.
yeah.
Like, let's build airports, let's build highways.
Yeah.
And highways are much cheaper to move stuff on. We can have trucks and, things like that. And he's like, no. It's going to be a railway. And for a very short amount of time, it did, like, modernize Riyadh. But
it set
once
them
a
back.
highway was built,
Yeah.
it made the railway completely obsolete. And yeah, his sons were like, this is just an old man being an old man kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And in his old age, too, he would remind his sons, like, of the family history and how there used to be interfighting and stuff. And he's like, look, the way down from here is to fight each other.
You're right.
If you guys fight each other, we're done. Saudi Arabia's done. But if you stick together,
Right.
then this can continue. You know what I mean? And he warned them of that. And, of course, he was like, Saud, you are the crown prince, and you're going to take everything over. Faisal, I kind of want you to be the foreign minister, because you've dealt with the British, you've dealt with the Americans, you've dealt with all these people. And let's be real, Faisal was the brains of the operation.
Right.
Saud was a face.
Yeah.
Everybody, even like American diplomats were like, Saud never said anything of note ever. Like, he wanted to be king. And that's
he's like
it.
Simba. Who was
If
also
Simba
a figurehead.
was an ineffectual king.
No.
Yes.
Maybe he was.
Not a good king.
I never saw the sequel. The direct-to-VHS sequel.
Simba 2, Simba 2.5.
There
There was
is
a
this-
couple.
1.5 was
1.5.
Well, that was with Timon and Pumbaa telling their version of the story.
Yeah.
Right,
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah. They were
At least
murdered.
that's what it should have been.
Yeah.
Should have just been that story. Anyway, like I said before, he opposed declaring an anti-Jewish jihad and fiercely condemned the anti-Jewish 1929 Hebron massacre, which he considered a clear violation of Islamic principles. But on the other hand, he often expressed his dislike for the Jews on the whole and called them a, quote, race accursed by God, who are destined to final destruction and eternal damnation. End
Okay,
quote.
so, Jerry, I'm going to be real with you. That just sounds a bit anti-Semitic to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you
Just a
really
little.
think about it,
Yeah.
like, that's... It's a bit far.
At least
it's
he
a bit
didn't-
much.
At least he didn't say that, like, the Jews control Hollywood. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
You would never say that.
Yeah. Remember in Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David was explaining to the child who Hitler was, and he's like, yeah, he just thought the Jews were a bit much.
He would accuse the Jews of being basically these anti-Semitic stereotypes involved with money, da-da-da-da-da.
Like the goblins in Hogwarts Legacy.
Yep, and pretty much, and driving a wedge. Actually, he accused the Jews of driving a wedge between the Muslims and the Christians. He was like, "You're a warlike people," which is a weird thing to say, because only war has ever been committed on the Jews. But he's like, wherever you go, you cause war, is what he was trying to say.
Pretty much since their temple got trashed, it never really seemed like they were centralized enough to...
Well, their first temple, and then their second temple, and
talking-
then the rest of their
the second temple up until Israel, they weren't centralized enough to commit war, have war. Commit
absolutely not
war crimes,
No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely not. They didn't commit genocide until they had a state.
Yeah, you gotta have a state.
Look it up. They committed genocide against the Palestinians. Anyway, it's a no-win situation.
Yeah,
guys, it's a no-win situation.
I went to high school. I heard stuff. I know there were a lot of preemptive strikes.
Yeah.
From the Israeli side.
Let's not hate people because of how they were brought up or how they were raised. Hate them if they try to shove it down your throat.
Agreed, yeah.
Let them do them, though. Anyway, but through all of this, in Ibn Saud's later life, he was racked by arthritis. He was almost entirely blind by this point.
Both eyes.
In both eyes. He spent his time sequestered in his palace in Taif. He handed most of the control of the state to Saud and Faisal. But most people around him, they were like, he doesn't recognize anyone. It's like, well, he is blind,
Yeah. Could he have dementia at all too?
He may have, but I don't really believe it. I think he was blind.
Yeah,
I think he was
just that.
Well, they were like, he didn't recognize anyone around him. And I think, people were he was getting off planes and stuff, or that plane that Roosevelt gave him, because he only ever used one plane, and he didn't like to fly super high with it. He would get off the plane, and people would, wave and say hi, and he'd be like,
Yeah, he's blind.
He's blind, he can't see you.
Yeah, it's like Stevie Wonder doesn't wave at you.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I really don't think he had dementia or anything like that.
Sure, I'm just curious.
I think he got old and tired, because there were certain times that, the Majlis, because the Majlis kept going, where he would be like, we're friends, whatever you want.
Yeah,
which is less involved.
Doesn't Bruce Willis have dementia?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah, Tom Sizemore's dead.
I know.
That sucks.
I know, very sad. He lived rough.
His scene in Always Sunny is so fucking funny.
So
when he's the truck driver and he's thinks they're lot lizards. The part is when they he's like, I don't do that anymore. And then when he pulls up to the hotel, my favorite part is just them being like, Byron, you don't want this. It's like, I'm a frothing and a foaming.
I think it's funny that Susie's like, who's Tom Sizemore? And I was like, he was in Saving Private Ryan. He was in Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Bringing Out the Dead, The Relic. All these movies. Natural Born Killers. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what do I know him from? And I was like, It's Always Sunny. She was like, yeah. He was in one episode of It's Always Sunny.
So funny. What's the one? Written by Quentin Tarantino, but not directed by him. But not Natural Born Killers. The other one.
True Romance. He's also in True Romance.
Yeah, he's in True Romance as well.
As the same character.
Is that true?
As the same character in Natural Born Killers.
Don't think I knew that.
Pretty damn sure. Yeah. There's a lot of crossover between the two. And with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction as well.
I do know that.
The cop, which has my name, Gerald Nash, he's the guy that gets his ear cut off. And the cop that is killed at the very beginning of Natural Born Killers is also named
Gerald
Gerald
there's
Nash.
the Vega brothers. One is in Reservoir Dogs, which I have a poster.
Yeah.
Because I'm
the Vega brothers,
because I'm a man.
You're like badass shit.
Yeah, whenever every man must have either a Reservoir Dogs poster, a Fight Club poster, a Rat Pack poster,
or a Pulp Fiction poster.
Which
I used to have a Pulp Fiction poster.
There was another one.
See?
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Yeah. I'm a man.
I'm a man. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
Girls get Audrey Hepburn posters.
Yeah, they get breakfast.
Or the other one. Who's the other one? Norma Jean.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe.
There you go.
He Ibn Saud eventually died peacefully in his sleep of a heart attack in Shubra Palace in Taif on November 9th, 1953,
No.
at the age of 78.
It's not about 78. Okay, that's pretty old.
It's pretty old,
I mean-
especially
That's
for
the way
the
you wanna
life he had.
go.
Huh?
That's the way you want to go in your
Oh
sleep.
yeah, in your sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't
yeah.
wait to go in my sleep.
Especially as like a desert Bedouin warrior,
Yeah.
78 peacefully in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's the best you can ask for.
Yeah.
You ever hear that old joke? It's really stupid, but it's like, I want to go, it might be a Jack Handy.
Oh yeah.
I want to pass away like my grandfather, peacefully in his sleep, not like the screaming passengers in his car.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a Jack Handy.
I think that
for
is
sure.
Jack Handy.
His son Faisal was by his side as he died. Saud actually was he was away on country business and was mad that he couldn't be by his father when he died, because that was a big part of the exchange of power. Is being by
yeah.
the ruler's side when they died.
Yeah.
And actually Saud was such an incompetent idiot that Faisal and like all the people around him like cornered him one day, and they were like, "You're gonna abdicate and give it to Faisal," and he was like, "Okay."
Fuck
You
it.
know?
Oh my god.
Because they all agreed not to fight between the
Right.
two.
He makes me think of the Trump boys. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
God, those guys look so
They told
fucking
Eric to
stupid.
sit down,
Eric?
and he was like, "Okay."
They both of them seem just like the dumbest fucking idiots.
Absolutely.
I mean, their
yeah.
dad's pretty stupid, but
Well, he wants Donnie Jr. He doesn't
Yeah.
want Eric.
yeah.
He doesn't
Eric's-
want Hamburger Man to be his new Trumpy guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of them has a hamburger face. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What's his name from Workaholics and Pitch Perfect? What's his fucking name?
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine.
Or
The song
Divine.
the
Divine.
Adam
Divine.
Levine's the fucking
Yeah,
guy
that's
from Maroon 5. Yeah.
No,
He does not have
the,
it. That is
the song and dance man with the hamburger face is how I
Yeah.
described him.
Yeah.
Adam
Yeah.
Devine.
Adam
Divine.
Levine is a song and dance man, but he does not have a hamburger.
yeah.
He's not in Workaholics.
And I'm sorry that I confuse them because they always get confused. And
Adam Devine is not in Workaholics, right?
Adam Devine
is. Adam Levine is the Maroon 5
Yeah,
guy.
Adam
who
Devine,
they always get confused.
but he's not in Workaholics. He is in Workaholics.
Adam
Yeah.
Devine is in Workaholics.
Okay.
Yes.
And Pitch Perfect.
And
Pitch
Pitch
Perfect too.
Yes.
And a bunch of other shitty fucking movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adam Levine
I
is
saw
the
one.
Maroon
Is that
5 guy.
shitty-
The one who
the shitty
recently
singer.
came out as cheating on his
Oh yeah. Nobody cares about
pregnant
that.
girlfriend.
But Adam Devine was in a movie with Alexandra Daddario, which Danny watched, and I watched because Alexandra Daddario is in it, and she's pretty, and it was sucked.
What movie was that?
I don't remember.
Ibn Saud's body, when he died, was taken to Riyadh. It was buried in the Al Aoud cemetery next to his sister Nira. But otherwise, it's an unmarked grave. As a good Muslim, you know,
You don't want to...
nothing to
That makes sense.
to come to and worship, right?
Yeah.
So it's unmarked. His clothes were then taken to the market and sold.
Not like Bruce Lee.
Not like Bruce Lee
Yeah.
or anyone in the English
Kurt Cobain.
speaking world. Yeah, no.
Jim Morrison.
No titans of capitalism, because they always have like the big.
That last one's in
monuments.
Paris. The other two are in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned them specifically.
Yeah, as a good Muslim, when you die, you're supposed to be gone, totally gone, and no one's supposed to. They're supposed to remember you fondly, but not worship you.
Mm-hmm.
And having a monument is sort of like worshiping in their eyes.
That make... Yeah.
I
Right?
mean, I don't know. I feel like that's interesting because it's like, is grieving worshiping?
No, but having a monument,
Any kind of like symbolic,
like let's say like 15 years after they're dead, if they were like an important person, going to their monument and remembering them,
right?
it starts to, at a certain time, it starts to ring a little bit of worship.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're using them as a
Interesting.
symbol to move
That
forward.
makes sense.
Which
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
symbol you should actually need is Allah.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
You
this-
shouldn't need him as a symbol. You should only need Allah.
This is why we have this shrine to Dr. Jonathan Sparkles, may he rest in peace,
Yeah.
in my home.
We are worshiping all of
Yeah.
these deities and idols.
Yeah.
Here, there's a lot of idol worship.
Well, you got
have going on.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
you
Well-
got some dinosaurs, and you got John Sparkles.
You have this Darth Maul figure here as well that
should
looks
take a pic-
oddly devilish. It looks very devilish.
Hail Satan. We
and
should take a
also
picture
the
of
fact
this.
that you have it on display, it's showing idolatry nature, first of all, and a very satanic idolatry nature. Are you worshiping the devil, Chris?
Yeah,
With this?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you also have dinosaurs, which I also never
Yeah.
existed.
No, those were hidden.
And you're also worshiping as well.
Yeah, and I got Goku and Spider-Man. I got Iron Man. I got Darth Vader.
Idols, Chris. Idols.
Yeah, I got Vegeta.
There's
You know,
a lot
your
of
life would
idols.
be more or less uncomplicated if you got rid of all these idols.
That's what I tried to tell Danny, but
Yeah, minimalism is in right now.
Well, let's just talk for a second, guys, about how things have gone after Ibn Saud sort of set the stage. Okay, just these few things. After him, there was Saud, which of course we know how that went. Faisal was after him. He was much more capable of running the Saudi state, but he was assassinated. It was an internal plot, story for a different day. There was Khalid, Fahd, Abdullah, Salman, and the one we are dealing with most currently considered to be the most dangerous millennial alive, Mohammed bin Salman al Saud. Or as he wants to be called, because he's millennial, MBS. He wants to be called MBS. That's what they called him. CNN, I think, called him that,
Go
or
against
Frontline
the
or something
status
called him that.
quo. Yeah.
Yeah. He truly is. He truly is. It's pretty horrifying.
people being known by their, like, those classic millennials want to be known by their initials.
Yeah.
LBJ, you know.
LBJ, yeah,
Classic
JFK.
millennial.
Well, Truman, even though he didn't support what they wanted him to support when it came to the Zionistic Israel state, he still courted the Saudis. So did every president that we've ever had since FDR. Basically, they've all courted the Saudis. Every single one of them.
Even Carter?
Even
Especially
Carter. Especially Carter. Eisenhower even said, like, oh, don't you worry. We're going to train you. We're going to give you guns. We're going to give you all sorts of stuff. Don't you even worry about it. That all did it. They all did it. If one person is trying to tell you that Obama is the war criminal for selling the Saudis guns and tacitly supporting their war in Yemen, which, by the way, is the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet right now. Also, keep in mind that Donnie Trump.
Yeah, to be clear.
To be clear, turned that up to 11 and wanted to sell them more guns than they've ever bought before. Okay, and even tried to make the sale happen so much. In fact, Senator Bernie Sanders authored a bill to block this sale. It was a bipartisan bill, by the way, that even Mitch McConnell signed to block the sale of weapons to Saudi Arabia. Because this is a bipartisan issue, folks. Because here's the thing. Foreign oil, independence on foreign oil, all that really means has nothing to do with the fucking environment. All it has to do is whether or not we do business with the Saudis.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is we sell them cheap guns, and they sell us cheap oil in return. And that's what happens. Every president does it. Especially Carter during the Iranian hostage crisis.
I was joking about that.
It's true, especially Carter. He was in good terms with the Saudis at that point. Because Iran at this time, this is another story for a different day, but Iran in this way is almost like France in the early 1800s, right?
Okay.
Where they're having this revolution. It's almost opposite to France though, because France was taking theology away from government. They're putting even more in, but they're becoming a republic, right? Iran is, but it's a republic based off of the Quran, right? And it's directly challenging the Gulf Emirates, especially Saudi Arabia, the biggest one, right? Because they're basically saying that the Quran says that it's more in line with being a republic rather than having a monarchy. Now that sounds very similar to what happened with France and Austro-Hungary and Prussia, during that time. They didn't want it spreading.
Yeah.
So, like, when the United States invaded Iraq, the Saudis supported Saddam Hussein in Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War. They didn't like Saddam Hussein and gave their support to the Americans by letting them use air bases during the Desert Storm operation when he was invading Kuwait. But they didn't want him gone either, because once he was gone, then the Shia would take over. Iran is Shia in Iraq, that they would be surrounded. Same thing basically going on in Yemen, although Yemen had some Soviet support that was unique to the Arabian Peninsula. The point is that ever since 1979, basically, they've been trying to tamp down on their geopolitical rival, which is Iran. And it's caused all of these things outside of it, which includes Russia, it includes the West, everyone in the West. It includes Israel, because we can't have Soviet arms beat American arms, so we funded the Israelis, which the Saudis didn't like.
Yeah.
It's this whole thing. And it makes William Godwin's theory of destroy all nations look way better. Because if you want cheap oil, you want good gas prices at the gas pump, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to do business with the Saudis. And that means you're going to have to tacitly support the indiscriminate bombing happening in Yemen as we speak at this moment.
That's how you get them gas prices down.
Exactly. So the thing is, yeah, that's how it happens. It's realpolitik.
Well, we really got to get down.
Cynicism.
Grass prices, you know what I'm saying, brother? 420, you know what I'm saying?
Legalize it.
Yeah, we live in Washington State.
Blaze it.
And of course, during the Nixon administration, they needed Saudi oil for Vietnam.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This is realpolitik. This is what this means. Does it feel good to support a Saudi war in Yemen, where they bomb indiscriminately and kill school buses full of children with American-made guns and planes? No. But do you want to bitch about the fucking gas prices all fucking day?
Well, I don't want to have to ride public transit, Jerry, so yes.
Yeah. Or pay tax in order to fund public transit to make it cheaper, right?
Which still does use oil, but significantly less if we have an infrastructure based
to accommodate for
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, let's also remember that 15 of the 19 hijackers in 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. This is equanism. Yeah. Again, this is equanism. Okay? And it's spilling over into our country as well. Right? Now, the Saudis, they say, oh, we were shocked and saddened to hear. I mean, that might be true, but it is clear that they've tacitly funded this whole thing. But let's also keep in mind that we funded them funding that. Okay? So let's look in the mirror a little bit as well, too. Our cheap gas prices indirectly goes to fund terrorism abroad. Really.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know what I mean? It's realpolitik at its finest. You know what I mean? Not to mention the Saudi human rights violations, which are notorious for restrictive laws against women and women driving cars. That's like the big thing, right? Women driving cars. Can't have that.
No.
Can't have them be unveiled either. This is the strictest of strict Islamic states. You know what I mean? Can't have any of that. Now, things have loosened. MBS has loosened these things, but he's ramped up the war in Yemen. I think it's all optics in that realm. He'll let women drive cars and be like, see?
Yeah.
But ramp up the war in Yemen. And by the way, the rebels in Yemen are using, Belgian guns, German guns, Swiss guns that they sold the UAE that somehow made it over the border into Yemen. Weird. That's all happening from literally all nations of the world are trying to get in on this because they all need Saudi oil.
There's a reason Swiss has an armed neutrality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Let's also talk about the Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi, who was critical of the Saudi regime and when he went into a embassy, was captured by Saudi officials and never seen again. His body was then dismembered, chopped into a bunch of pieces.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
Put into
it
a
was
box.
it was on directions from the Saudi family, Saudi royal family. And Donald Trump even said after he touted this multi-billion-dollar deal, over $100 billion of guns going to the Saudi royal family, or Saudi Arabia, he said that basically that business deal was more important than this reporter's life by not going after the Saudis for this. Now, let's also be real. No president would. Joe Biden, by the way, just sold a bunch of missiles to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
You think your president is better than a different president? You're wrong. When it comes to this geopolitical game, it doesn't matter who the fuck you vote for. Okay? We are on a track that we can't get off of. What's gonna happen, what's gonna happen with that, it's gonna happen anyway. It won't matter who you vote for. It just won't.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
As far as that goes.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
With the Middle East and all that stuff. Do you think Jared Kushner is going to fix the Middle East? No. He made a tidy sum dealing with the Saudis. And no one's saying shit about that. They want to, talk about Hunter Biden all day, but, it's the same exact thing happening over with the Saudis, only right in front of you.
Yeah.
And we won't say anything because we need those gas prices to be lower.
We need that goddamn oil.
We need the oil. It's cynical. It is a cynical way of doing things, and it's the only way to do things. And that is why, oh man, the more I think about this, I think of William Godwin, and I think of destroying all nations.
Yeah. There's no winning.
It's a no-win scenario. And it's disgusting, frankly. But that's the end of the story, gang.
Yeah.
And that hopefully sheds some light on
what's happening and why the world is the way it is right now.
Why the world is the way it is.
Yeah, this
exactly.
It's such an interesting... Having this one individual's life is almost a microcosm of why the world is the way it is right now.
Yeah. And it's not that he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
I disagree with him. I would never want to live in a theocratic monarchy.
Well, everyone's a bad guy.
But I'm also not from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So I can disagree with him all we want, and that's the point. That's why it's in that realm of international geopolitics. It doesn't matter who you fucking vote for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all a smokescreen. Remember Donnie Trump's Muslim ban? You know where it didn't come from?
Saudi Arabia.
And you know where all of the fucking 15 out of the 19.
That's what drove me crazy about people who supported it, where it was Saudi Arabia wasn't on the
Are
travel
you
ban.
kidding me?
Yeah.
They are where that is coming from.
Most eye-opening fucking part of that.
Yeah.
It was the most optics fucking bullshit thing to do.
And they want you to argue about that all day and not focus on where the United States sells guns and for what reason. That is a destabilizing international thing, and we need to think twice before we just sell guns willy-nilly.
Well, the reliance on oil is... What are we going to do? What are you going to do? You know?
Right. And, in other countries as well, selling guns willy-nilly, there's a lot of things that his history can point to that can tell you, hey, this might not be the best idea. I know it seems like the most expedient at the time, but this could end up shooting ourselves in the foot.
When you got to get those poll numbers up and you want gas prices to go down.
Well, like what Truman said, I got to do what my constituents want to do. And that's, at the end of the day, that's that.
Well, it's like when they put those stickers on the fucking gas thing where it's Biden was I did that. And it's oh, okay, so he'll just sell some guns to the Saudis and get those gas prices back down.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's what
how you
want.
do it. And if the Saudis get mad at you like they did in the early 1970s, they will get together with their other OPEC buddies, and for no other reason than to punish the West, will jack up price of oil to punish the West. They did it in the early 1970s. They can do it again, and they have.
They really got our balls in a vice grip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why this independence of foreign oil and things like this, it has nothing to do with the environment, guys. It has nothing to do. It has everything to do with the fact that we want to get away from the Saudis.
Yep.
And we should. And we need to.
Yeah.
They're one of the most evil fucking countries on Earth.
Well, everybody, that was our episode. I'm
you.
Christopher Whedon. I'm a history boy. And real quick, we mentioned Jack Handy earlier. I don't know. If you grew up on 90s SNL, you may have heard some of his Jack Handyisms. Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy.
Yeah.
I'm real quick going to share my favorite of all time, and it's this. If trees could scream, would we be so cavalier about cutting them down? We might, if they screamed all the time for no reason.
They're just screaming, and it's like, we gotta
cut these fucking down. That was my favorite.
Can't live anywhere near the forest.
If you don't know quotes from Jack Handy, just Google them. There's tons of funny ones.
A bunch of them.
Wasn't that the plot of The Happening or whatever?
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of.
Did they scream?
The wind.
No,
like,
they were revolting against
something
us
about the
because we were
wind.
treating the environment not so good.
Right.
And then the end of that movie, the scientists look into the camera and they're like, "Yeah, are you gonna change?" Or it's something like that. And it's like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Blame the individual. It's all politicians'
I love
fault.
how M. Night coddles his audience. It's actually
adorable.
so adorable sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah.
stupid.
Who else we got here?
I'm Maddie Moon, and I want to talk a little bit about our social media. If you guys care about that, of course you don't
Delete
need
it.
it.
Of course you shouldn't, but
Delete it.
Of course you shouldn't, and you should be ashamed if you do.
destroy all nations.
Yeah, destroy all nations. Revelations.
But if you do, if you want to see some behind the scenes stuff, I've been like trying a little bit to post on the Instagram as much as I can, but it's not all the time. But our Instagram handle is History Boys Podcast. That's boys, B-O-I-Z. We also have an email that's also historyboyspodcast@gmail.com if you want to like send us some episode ideas, if you want to say hi, if you just have any comments that you want to talk about and you want to share them, you can do it that way. Or
it's the best way. Let's be real. That's the best way to do it.
yeah, it's a good way to do it. There's also the Discord, though, which you can get on if you join our Patreon for $1 a month. You can get
Pennies
on the
a day.
Discord. Yeah.
I have to say that.
Not yet.
Pennies a day.
I'm obligated to say that.
Less than a cup of coffee a day.
Yeah.
You can support an African child. Is that what we're talking about? Sorry,
That's
I tuned
what I
out.
was
Yeah, kind
referencing.
of. Yeah.
For
Matt, are you
pennies a
telling him
day.
to support an African child?
Well, I was
We're
talking.
gonna take all that money. We're gonna launder the fucking shit out of it.
At least we're honest as where that money goes.
Yeah.
It goes towards books and beer and keeping the show online.
Yeah.
Those are the three things it goes towards.
Yeah.
That charity cannot promise you exactly where your money goes.
Yeah.
Your pennies a day actually go.
Yeah.
I can promise you it goes to those three places.
You
Yeah.
got that straight.
And you can probably still maybe eventually buy a house someday if you even for $1 a month on our Patreon if you pay that.
If society changes dramatically.
Yeah, it won't affect that part. It's no avocado toast, is what I'm trying to say.
New iPhone.
Yeah, you need it.
Like the
is
system isn't
what I
fucking
mean.
designed to force you to buy a new iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
And by system, I mean the Apple system. Like all the cell phone
All
companies do that, but every
all
time
tech
they
systems.
update, they deliberately make everything obsolete. So you
Yeah.
have to buy a new cell phone.
Yeah.
It's not the fucking
gotta make
buyer's
that
fault.
money.
It's not the fucking worker's
No,
fault.
no. The chips are fine.
And we're not forcing you to join the Discord, but
No, I'm
you'd
also
be
not
a
doing
lot
that.
cooler if you did. Just
See,
saying.
that's the thing. You can become cool if you do so.
Yeah.
But buying a phone, that's just the natural progression of
Yeah.
how life has to be.
Exactly.
And buying a phone does not make you cool.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. Being on our Discord, now that
Now
Yeah.
that does.
absolutely
I like that you
does.
referenced Dazed and Confused,
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I always like that. I was really related to his one line. You know what I'm talking about? Like
do.
that's what I like about high school girls. They didn't like me in high school, and they don't like me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that it?
You started that out by saying you really related to that line, and I was about to be like, whoa,
I know, me too. I held my breath for a second too.
Is that not the line?
That's not the line.
Did I?
What you said was better somehow.
I like that. It makes more sense.
Yeah, they didn't like me in high school, and I want nothing.
continue to
I
not
would like
like
to not have nothing to do with high school girls.
In fact, I've
If you
never
listen
even
to the
seen
show,
one.
Don't
please
interact with
not-
high school girls.
do not connect with me online. You can listen to the show. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fucking almost 40, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not talking to high school kids.
And
I don't want to.
No.
And I won't.
for the Patreon, if you there's other tiers. If you are like a Saudi benefactor or something, you could probably afford $5 a
Please.
month.
Yeah.
Sell guns to the Saudis.
One Saudi prince
Yeah.
sponsor our show, please.
Yeah. Come on.
I'll say a bunch of nice things about the Saudi family after that.
It's like,
Yeah.
this show really changed tone.
Yeah. They start
All
sponsoring.
of a
That's-
sudden, they got deeply religious.
Yeah.
And,
Islamic.
Islamic, oddly enough. Yeah.
So for that tier, you can get the most recent episode of our Patreon podcast show, which we're about to do another one of pretty soon.
It's gonna have you on it.
Yeah. So if you want to like get to know a little bit about us behind the scenes, it's a little more casual. That's a really good way to do it. And then if you want to get access to all of the old Patreon shows that they've done, that's $10 a month.
Yeah,
So-
that's our whole back catalog.
Yeah.
That's everything.
You could just pay it one single time for 1 month and then quit your job for that month and just listen to all of the podcasts.
You can listen. You don't actually have to quit your job to listen to the podcast. I don't know if that.
Well, how are you going to have time?
Yeah. It's like 12 hours.
You're not gonna have time. You're gonna have to quit your job.
You're gonna have to quit your job.
You will have to. So make sure
Yeah.
you have at least $10 in your bank account before you do that.
What I'm gonna say.
Let's not be
And then give us your last $10.
irresponsible.
What are you, Donald Trump?
Yeah.
It's like ripping off old ladies who think that Biden is the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, but he's a lesser imp. Let's be real.
He's the hot top. He's
He's
the one who owns
just
the
a
hot
president.
topic, not
He's
Spencer's.
just the same shit we've had for
Yeah.
years and years and years.
Actually, one thing I was...
Donnie was just the most bombastic of all of them.
Right. One thing
That's
that I
what
was
made him
thinking
so
about
offensive, of course.
when we brought up the imp owning Spencer's is I was wondering who was his director of merchandise in the early 2000s when those t-shirts that said 99% angel, 1% devil were really like that.
Is that a thing?
Is-
That's your generation.
yeah.
Yes.
I remember that.
I'm not that much older
Was
than you.
that a hot
And
topic
it's
thing?
coming back. It was everywhere. Claire's.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, every history boy is in their 30s, and as of September 16th, 2023, that will no longer be the case. But for
I'm
now,
bringing the young ones in, I
no.
guess.
You're gonna slip into your 40s, Chris?
I'm almost 40.
Oh man,
Oh, boy.
That's
Over the
old.
hill.
You gotta get rid of me.
that's old. Now we gotta get rid of
Get
Chris.
a younger guy.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah.
have that.
Get a young, hot, like, I don't know. I don't know the names of anybody.
Mads
who's...
Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen.
He's older than Chris.
Mads
But he's
guy-
younger in his soul.
He's right here. You could ask him if you want to know him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to answer. Who's the guy
He just looked up and shook
from
his
High
head.
School Musical? Yeah,
Zac
Zac
Efron.
Efron.
Zac Efron. Let's get him.
He's in his 30s, too.
Yeah, he's like...
He's not 40.
He's
not
my age,
40.
I think.
I'm pretty sure he's my age.
Yeah.
How old are you, Maddie?
26.
No, you're not.
Bullshit. You're in your 30s and we all know
I'm
it.
just kidding. I'm 32.
I'm 33. That's what I fucking thought.
Zac
I
Efron's
was like, no
35.
way are you that much younger
Yeah.
than me.
You
we
really
finish this
thought
fuck-
for a
that whole
second
thing?
that I was 26.
Can we finish this
No.
fucking show?
Okay,
Yeah, we
yeah,
can finish
Jesus
this.
Christ. We're
Sorry.
gonna, anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Check out our Patreon. It helps us a lot. We need the money.
Whenever a podcast starts telling me to, like, oh, join, like, follow us, I stop listening anyway, so I just assume nobody
Well, that's why you
hears
gotta
this
make it fun.
Yeah.
Well, the real fans, even if you are a lurker, you stick around for this spot because you know that there's hidden jokes on this
Yeah.
part of the show.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
these are the people that give us the 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Wherever they find us.
Also
on
do
like
that.
Spotify, on Apple, and what. That really helps. Also, you wouldn't think so, but downloading the episode really helps us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Neither of those two things cost anything.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're an indie operation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go be honest with the people that they're paid to do this.
Yeah.
We're an indie operation. Give us 5 stars, okay? And download the episode. All right. It costs you nothing. Just
Yeah.
do it.
Please.
Right.
Yeah.
Like these other, like Joe Rogan, these bigger
Yeah.
ones. Go be honest about those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Tell them what you really think with them.
Yeah.
Take out
they
your
need
anger
to be
with
knocked
those
down
guys.
a peg. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We need to be brought up a peg.
Yeah, bring us up. I'm kidding, of course. I am Jerry Nash, your humble history boy. Thank you so much for listening. We love all of you, especially our wonderful Patreon listeners. It means so much to us that we make this show, we have a lot of fun making it, and that you give us money to keep it going. That really does mean a lot to us. Let's see. Thank you so much again, and Mr. Chris.
Love you, bye.
We've had a lot of fun. We'll see you next time. Or I guess we won't. Whatever.